earwax. Went in for a clean up. It was getting a bit blocked. And the left-hand side, he couldn't do it by the normal suction. So I had to take this. It's a sodium bicarb solution. Doesn't say much. But what it does, it softens up the wax, and then they can suck it out with this little wand.
Yeah.
So that's just been done. So I'm back on, the track.
Yeah.
But that's the thing we all get now and again, you see. So it's
We do. Yeah.
maintenance, nuisance. But I thought, oh, back and forth again, and I got a fair walk down to the main place,
Yeah.
and I thought, well, they're not going to tax anything. So it's chasing around a bit, but other than that, fine. But with you, this leg, is it no better, or is it still?
I've got to see Nursey tomorrow. I'm seeing Nursey, and she's going to have a look because I'm going to stay with my family over in Spain, and we're going up to Italy. We're going to Milan, which will be boiling hot, which I'm not looking forward to. And then we're going up to the lakes, Lake Orta.
Hope you hold out okay.
So I've got to check if I can go swimming with a wound on my leg, and I suspect I won't be able to do.
If there's piranhas in the water, we won't see you again.
Well, apparently where my daughter lives, it's on a complex. It's miles from anywhere. And the only thing there is a swimming pool. But
we can make a film about that. The loss of Margaret. It could be like a great...
In this pool, she went for a swim a couple of nights ago, and there are frogs in there.
Oh, lush.
In the swimming pool. Yeah. So I'm thinking I don't want frogs nibbling at my wound, do I? Particularly.
Well, you wrap it up in something.
Well, I need a waterproof leg thing.
Well, the pharmacist might have something. They suggest.
No, they've just got plasters. And it's quite a big open wound. It's quite yucky, actually. I would show you, but it will put you off your food.
Yeah, we're going to crack on now. Right, okay then. We've got to crack on. We've got to crack on.
Oh, well, good luck.
Thank you.
Roger, I got to be honest with you, Rog.
What's the matter, kid?
Any news, my love?
Hey, Carly.
Look, have you got any? Oh, God.
Judith, a wanton Fraggle. Who's put that? Oh, and I'm a total goddess.
Right. Look. Any archaeological news from you, Margaret?
Archaeology news. Oh, I'm going to Vindolanda on Thursday.
You're joking, are you? All right, cool.
No. Going to Vindolanda and the Military Museum.
Nice. Hang on. So you'll be repeating. Yeah, you'll be repeating the trip that we did. I got to be honest with you. I'm praying that the weather's going to be 1,000% better than that day.
Well, I think rain is forecast.
Couldn't it be worse?
Oh,
yeah.
I just. It's the only time that I've ever been on a trip, right? That every wind, rain, saturated. Yeah, it was definitely there.
It was terrible on the sun.
I'll take a brolly. I'll take a good brolly.
The only one that I envied was Sandra, because she actually stayed in the digs for the two days, I think.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope it's better. Probably would be okay, but that was exceptional, surely.
Exceptional.
It was epic.
We had to put it this way: decide to get to the cafe.
Driving into the car park was like driving into the water, and driving out was driving out of the water. It was
going into hell.
Yeah.
How did your trip go, by the way, Will? Didn't ask.
Oh, I'm still here.
Still here.
Oh, you're in.
I'm in Merthyr.
Bill.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
you've got your laptop with your laptop and the gear. Then somehow, or do you get?
Oh, I take my laptop with me everywhere.
It's a country I can't wait to leave.
But,
oh well, nice to see you.
But the weather's we had 4 days of sunshine and warmer weather up at 28, and now it's down to 16 and 13 and 12 and raining.
I don't know why we talk about the weather.
So there we are.
Right,
Carl, did you get my last photograph that I sent you?
We're gonna. That's the first stuff we're gonna actually use the photographs. Yes, we're gonna use that. Right. So
good lad.
We're all over the place at this minute. Right. Any news from you, Will?
No, I've got nothing to say at the moment. Thank you very much.
Right, I'm going to slap everyone on the bottoms now, right? Margaret, anything you want to say?
No, other than I'm going to Vindolanda.
You've already told us that.
But no, I've no news. No, I'll have more to tell you next week, won't I?
If you don't take any photographs, we will understand that it was the worst weather, worse than the last time.
Yeah.
So my experiences with Vindolanda, the first time I went, we did a Chinese candle, right? There was filming in the distance. We did the Chinese candle. It went up in the tree. It set light to the tree, at which point we jumped in the car and drove away. And this is all true, right? So the next time I go there, it's the worst weather ever, right? So the next time I go to Vindolanda, I'm just going to take a tank with me.
But it's the site. It just keeps on giving, doesn't it, there? They're
Well, yeah,
constantly
giving rain, yeah, and fires, yeah.
But amongst all the debris, they found loads of shoes, haven't they? Shoes and these writing tablets.
It was on last night on Digging for Britain.
It was.
Ms. Alice.
I think they're on
show a man's shoe looks with the child's shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The 8-inch long shoe, yeah, massive.
Yeah, they found a ditch that had been filled in by the Romans, and recently when we were there, they started to dig it out. It was a dumping ground, so there'd be a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, there's 4 statues of Lloyd George that they found already, so that's good.
Go in the museum too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've booked to go in the museum.
Some beautiful glass in there as well. As the 9,000 shoes or whatever it is.
Yeah, we did. We looked in. We did go in that museum, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Whilst I was in the tea and coffee shop, just dealing with my wounds.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you. That the weirdest thing about that trip to Hadrian's Wall, right, is I think everyone when we went to Castlereagh said this is the best trip you've ever done, and I'm thinking, is there something I actually don't know about this? It was like, it was really weird. I thought, hang on a minute, right? It's the worst weather we've ever had on a trip, right? Everyone's totally soaking wet, and this is the worst. This is the best trip I've ever done. So I thought, God help me with the other ones that we've done.
Well, it was a nice group of people, and we all got on really well.
Yes. And you had a free pack at the end with
a goodie bag.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was it.
It didn't rain all the time though. It was fine at Castlereagh.
Yeah, Castlereagh.
Yeah.
On the way home.
On the way home.
That's climate. You've got to be prepared for all this.
Absolutely.
Get what you can out of it rather than give up.
We're used to that here. It's often sideways rain.
And what was that? Where did we go on the way back?
Lanercost Abbey, and
that's it.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a priory and an abbey?
It's basically to do with the religious order. So it's Cistercians are abbey. And
no, that's a flower.
That's Nestor.
No, Cistercian. Oh, right. I'm not answering this question. Cistercian monks, right? Okay, I gotta get no sense off anyone, right? We're gonna do Judith a wanton Fraggle. Any news?
No, thank you. Nothing.
We'll get sense from Roger and Roger David.
No, thank you.
Dirty Roger Dodge.
And Andy Pringle. Andy's the only one with a sensible name, yeah.
Oh, and David.
No, I haven't changed it yet. No, I've got no news, I'm afraid, today.
No, David goes without saying. Right, okay. I've it's been
How's your sheep?
Oh yeah.
How's my sheep?
Yeah, the one that was ill.
Yeah, it was. It's the right. But so basically, I tried up until it was. I just get my days. So it's Tuesday today, Monday. So on Saturday, she was trying to stand on her back legs, and which was brilliant. And she was up in the field, and she had her head way up, and she was looking around. I thought, brilliant. Weather started to get bad, so we actually moved her And then the next day, which was Sunday, she started to take a thing for the worst, and I managed to run out into the field, and I grabbed her and I carried her, and she passed away in my arms. So
sorry to hear that. Yeah.
So it was the thing is I sort of realized I realized that we'd actually saved her from the knacker's yard about 4 years ago. She was a beautiful brown sheep, really nice sheep. We had one male from her who's a beautiful male. He's really kind and he looks after all the other little lambs. So, but it's just the absolute guilt that I feel every day that I actually wasn't there that day that those hours, and I just felt that I should have. I could have done more, but everyone's saying, well, you can't be here all the time, and
no, you can't. No, you can't.
So it was. So we buried her this morning, and alongside her 2 little lambs. So,
nice.
But she had a happy life while she was there.
She did.
Oh, she absolute brilliant life, and the one thing that has made me realize more than I'm actually a vegetarian for a simple reason that I vomit if I eat meat, so I cannot digest meat. So if you give me meat, it'll make me ill. So that's why I don't eat meat. But then I'm realizing that these animals are living creatures, and they're a lot more than just sheep. So they provide us with an income with the manure, and they're far more valuable to us alive. So, yeah. So I'm glad you asked, Andy, because it's been it's been a very painful past 2 months with a few other things, and So I'm just trying to, and I'm sort of with the way the country's going. Cymru Wales, it's not a real nice place to be living anymore. We're just thinking about up in sticks and probably going to Orkney. I just don't want to be in this country anymore. It's not a nice place, and it's just, yeah. So we would get different things like this, and we think it would be better to be somewhere else. So
you've invested a lot in where you are, though.
Say that again.
You've invested a lot in where you're living now.
Yeah, we have, but we wouldn't. We actually own what we've got, so we wouldn't actually give it up. We'd keep it, but we would we'd basically we'd plant it all with trees. Basically, what happens around here, and I'll tell you that what happens around here is historic buildings. I've just seen one go now. It's sort of a building dating to the 1700s. A farmer's just ripped out all the stones, flattened it, and just done it. Nobody's done anything. And basically everyone around us just cuts down all the trees, right? So we're the only place that has actually got trees, right? And we get lots of horrible remarks with the fact that, why are you planting trees? Why are you doing this? And it's just within a landscape that people just cull all the trees, and it's quite horrible to be living in that type of landscape when we've basically got. We've got no trees, hedges, no trees. And then we go up a hill. We've got our woodland. We've got our little nice sort of ruined cottage. And we've got a nice bit of woodland. And we've got our land with the sheep. And we've got trees. And then it's desolate. And I don't understand the mentality of people. I really don't.
Oh, well.
Ooh, it's all kinds that make a world, isn't it, as they say.
And you live in Arnside, somewhere like Arnside, you sort of to get into Arnside, you've got to go through a jungle of trees, and it's beautiful, right? And
moved to Arnside,
say that again.
You used to live up there, didn't you, Carl?
Yeah, I did.
Oh. Hello, Anne.
Hello.
Oh,
hello.
Right, but there is in my slides, there is something really, really not good, which I'm going to be showing you today, and it's making me question about archaeology. And but I wasn't going to report on this, but I've kept my mouth shut for a few weeks, and I thought I've started to make it public. So yes, So we're gonna crack on with some Roman stuff. Some images of Will at Ardagh Roman Fort in 1892. And then nice to see you, Anne. And the only one who isn't here tonight is Drina.
Oh, well, I know her brother came up yesterday, so maybe she's still got visitors.
Blooming brothers. Who needs them?
Well, I never see mine.
I could do with one at the moment. I could do with a man around who knows how to do. You know, boys were always taught hard crafts, and women were taught soft crafts at school. I could do with somebody who knows hard crafts.
Oh, me and me and Will will be up now.
You've got that Simon. Give Simon a ring.
He does. He's very helpful, is Simon.
He is.
I had lessons from his friend yesterday in doing Nordic walking on the Nordic poles.
Goodness, yeah.
Fun.
God, I don't know what's going on. Right, okay. Are you seeing him image now?
Yes.
Yes.
It's Will in a ditch.
Yeah.
It is Will. It's not Will in a ditch. It's in a bank.
In a bank, yeah.
Right, okay. I'm just getting I'm trying to find my image a minute. Where is it? There. There. I'm trying to find the image that you're looking at. Hang on, where is it? Where is it? There. Okay, hang on a minute. Okay, right. I'm struggling finding this image. Right, okay. Right. All right. Okay. Hopefully. So you got Will in a red hat. You got Will in a blue hat. Is that right?
Red hat.
Red hat.
You still got him in a red hat. All right then. Okay. I'm gonna. All right. I've just got a slight glitchal problem. And you're sharing. Sharing is caring. Right. Okay. Right. Okay. I've got a problem trying to find my images. 1 second. Okay. Right. I've had problems with this today. Right. No. New tab. No, I can't find the image. I can't find the image that you're looking at.
Oh.
Which is
We've got it.
Yeah, you've got it.
Nice cross section.
Yeah.
You've got it. So I'm gonna. Right.
Where
Okay.
is it? Where is it?
I'm going to stop the share and I'm going to come back again.
Okay.
Right. So we're going to see if I can get it. Right there. Gallery 1. Good. And we should show that now. Oh, but there. Good. Good. Okay. Sharing. Right. Keep sharing. Right. I can't get to the image. Balls. Right. Okay. There.
We've got it.
We're back again.
But you've got it, but I haven't.
Why didn't I get them? I get that.
I'm struggling to get. I can't find it. Hang on. One put. Okay. Sorry about this, guys. I'm just trying to get it. Right. There. No, not that. Hang on. If I do that, right, it should be showing a load of different images now, and hopefully,
yeah.
Now, are you back? Are you showing? Is it showing Will in a red hat?
No, we've got a pile of small ones.
We've got. There's a few of Will.
We've got all of your images on the Google screen.
Yeah.
Your lot.
Still got it.
Will's head's been chopped off.
Okay, I'm struggling a minute. Right, okay, there. Right, okay. Share. Okay. I'm not sure how I can do this. Right, okay. So I'm gonna have to do it this way. So we're showing it's not coming, it's not happening. Right. Is it showing him with a blue hat?
Yes.
Yes.
Purple hat?
Yes.
Whatever I've just done, I've done it. Right. Anyway, basically what we've got Ardagh Roman fort fortress, right? Ardagh itself is on the Gascridge. It's the biggest excavated Roman fort along Gascridge. Now, Ardagh Roman fort, they've excavated half of it in the 1890s. Now, last time we looked at this, and I just thought, wouldn't it be great to actually put some colour in that trench? So what Will has done is taken 4 images, right? And he sort of tried to bring that image alive, and that's probably more like it, right? So he's put a bit of colour in there, right? And apparently, Will, does that look like you? Will?
Yeah, you're missing the photo with the 2 images.
Oh.
Last one I sent you. Maybe I can share my screen.
Oh no, don't do that. It just won't work. And the reason why I'm saying that, I've found this now. We'll leave it as it is. But when you say 2 other images, these are the only ones I had. The 4 of them. So I've got 1, 4.
Sent you one. Sent you one after that.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it. We'll have to do. We'll have to do that next week. But
it's in Messenger.
The whole. I didn't get it in time. So the whole. We'll have to do that next week. So I'm not changing this now because it's working. So the point is with colouring these images, that doesn't look as good as this last one. And in a way, it sort of brings it to the 1930s, 1940s when I actually were putting colour into images. And when instead of having the whole point of doing this, the whole point of me asking Will to do this is that you've got an image from the 1890s, and somehow because there's colour in it, it sort of makes it a little bit more real. It takes away the idea it's black and white and it's a really old image. And it's good that we've got this type of technology now to sort of bring a little bit more oomph in it. I'm not going to say much more than the sort of colour in the image, but the whole point is that Ardagh, they did excavate half of it, and you've got the stone here, and you've got this nice bit of bank, and you've got this section, right? And this is one thing that archaeologists are good at, is to put a section through a bank to actually read the layers. And we've got a little bit of that when we're actually looking at Colchester tonight as well. Ooh. I had a bit of a disaster with my computer earlier on, in that I was doing really, really well, getting all the images populated and so on. And then suddenly something's gone wrong. So I've got a tight problem with the technology now. But Will, would you like to say anything else about these images that you've coloured?
No, other than I use an online service to do it, Palette FM. Great, gives you 20, 30 different varieties of color. Any old photographs, gives it depth, it gives it reality, and it does put stuff in perspective. So yeah.
Can you do me another favor, Will? Right? Can you get an old black and white image from 1926 of Sir Mortimer Wheeler's excavations at the amphitheatre when they half excavated it? Right? It would be really nice to see that coloured.
If I can find it, I'll do it.
Yeah, you'll find it. And actually, if I extend this further, there's an image of Tessa Wheeler, who has actually did most of the excavations at Killeen with the amphitheatre, and she's actually next door to a gateway at the amphitheatre. It would be good to have you colour in Tessa Wheeler, but again, I know we're taking a little bit of Mickey that this actually looks a little bit like Will, right? But what this does, it actually brings the image alive. When you put colour into things, it brings it alive. So I think you would all agree on that one. It's a bit like when you think about oh God, Follow the Yellow Brick Road. Yeah, that one, that film, it's gone. But when there's what's that?
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz, even though I've actually acted in it, don't worry about it. So Wizards of Oz, right? I did a stage performance of Wizard of Oz. When you think about Wizard of Oz, it's black and white to begin with, and there's color at the end, right? So when you get to the color, it seems to bring it alive. Again, when you add color to a black and white image, it does bring it alive, and I'm sure you'll agree. Sorry, this is a film I'm working on, and I wanted to go to this. I've had this on my computer for absolute weeks. In fact, months, right? Absolute months. And this is absolutely fascinating. So for the likes of for the likes of David and maybe Andy, who sort of done some engineering stuff in their time. This is absolutely fascinating, right? And it basically says, as we've got the headlines there, scientists found the secret to Roman concrete in a half-finished Pompeii living room. Okay, fair enough. We know the Romans made concrete, but that's not the answer, right? Among Pompeii's ruins, scientists found the proof that finally confirms their theories about Roman concrete, which were, Andy. Come on, give me a clue. Which were? Do you know anything about these mysteries about Roman concrete, Andy? Come on, chuck something in there.
They used pumice ash in the lighter stuff to be able to get the strength of the light, but they used a lot of different mixes for different things. So, but as they do today. So
yes, but there is something else.
That's underwater.
There is something else, right? So we're gonna there is something else. Andy's right, but pumice is created by a hot reaction in the first place. There's a clue, right? So here we go. I think this throws it away. As I say, this has been on my computer for blooming weeks, right? A view of the neatly aligned ceramic roof tiles and tooth blocks. Basically, that's the volcanic stuff that's been broken up. What's all this about? In Atrium 2 of the newly excavated Regio 9. So that's what they're doing Pompeii now. This is the area that they're excavating and sort of protecting the archaeology. So documenting the organized storage of building materials ready for reuse during renovation. Reuse, right? Okay, that's taken us away from the clue. Anyway, let's sort of look at this. So there's a clue here. What Andy said's correct, but there's more to this. Concrete was the foundation of the Roman Empire, right? So obviously you wouldn't have the Viraconium workhouse wall still standing at Wroxeter. You wouldn't have Ratia Leicester's Thermaea wall standing at Leicester today if it wasn't for concrete. However, you could argue that in Britain we've got another technology. If you build in a curved manner, right, dry stone manner, you can have buildings that are up to 15, not 20 meters high, but that's a bit of a guess, 15, 16 meters high, which are dry stone, right? So you don't need concrete. However, if you're going to build in a town setting and everything needs to be linear, right, you need concrete, right? I think we can agree with that. We're not talking about Mapumbagi or Zimbabwe, associated with Zimbabwe and North South Africa today, where you can have really tall walls, but they're curved as well, right? That's curved. So to have dry stone, curved walls, really strong. But if you can do linear, it's a lot more difficult. Concrete is where you get linear walls. So for centuries, researchers have tried to uncover the secret behind the self-healing material that allowed Roman structures to defy time and longevity. Andy was talking about the Pantheon, right? Where the Pantheon itself uses different grades of material as it gets higher and higher at the dome, right? Andy's correct. But there's something else missing in this process. As it turns out...
Did they use lime? Quick lime?
Well, there's something in what you've just said, but we'll leave that for now, right? I'm cutting you off there, Margaret, for a reason. As it turns out, the answer was waiting in a half-renovated living room in Pompeii. Here we go. Chuck it out there. You'll see the link now, Margaret. By analysing raw materials frozen in place by the eruption of Vesuvius, MIT researchers have finally confirmed that ancient builders harnessed a volatile high heat mixing technique. It's high heat.
Oh,
it's heat. So in other words, Margaret, you know when you talked about quicklime,
yeah,
when you add water to it, it heats up, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of it, but it's not it because we're using pumice, right? So you sort of add it there, but that comes in a little bit later as well. So close. I'll give you 6 out of 10 for that, and Andy gets 5 out of 10. Trina would just get 10 out of 10 by opening her mouth. Anyway, this process grants concrete the ability to repair its own cracks, a breakthrough that could help our own modern infrastructure withstand the elements. So in other words, going back to Margaret, quicklime, yeah, because quicklime sets over a long, long period of time. In fact, they say 1,000 years, but we'll move on to that, right? So a time capsule, when Mount Vesuvius erupted in AD 79, 24th of August, it didn't just destroy the nearby cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum. By burying them under a thick layer of ash and pumice, it preserved them. So that goes back to the other point. We're going to look at the roads, not this week, but we're going to try and look at the residue on the roads, what's going on in Pompeii. Is there muck? Is there sediment on the road? We still got to answer that question, but not this week. So the eruption stopped life in its tracks, cementing bread in ovens and residents in their final moments. It also froze construction projects. In one Pompeii home, archaeologists discovered a renovation interrupted by the apocalypse. And when you think about this, is that I've shown you this, I've indicated this on images before, that it's constant that Pompeii's being rebuilt and changed and added to. It's constant earth tremors. I would fancy to give you this, that seeing as Pompeii was destroyed about a decade and a half before the events of AD 79, it's likely that the stuff was there in AD 79. If it wasn't covered by all this material from Mount Vesuvius, there would have been an earth tremor, it would have had to be rebuilt. It's likely that after 100 years, the Pompeii that was preserved in AD 79 would have ceased to have existed in the form that you see it today, simply because they would have kept having to rebuild it over and over again. So it's a time capsule of AD 79, not after, not before. So we'll leave that there. So back to this. So they found piles of limestone, heaps of sand and tools. There you go, the limestone. There you go. Scattered exactly where workers dropped them. This offered a forensic level of detail that completed structures simply can't provide. So in other words, what you're looking at a wall, it's not complete. You're thinking, right? So it's one thing to analyze a finished wall. It's another to find the raw ingredients lying on the floor. So the scene was striking that it brought tears to the eyes of Admir Masick, an MIT associate professor who has spent nearly a decade hunting the secrets of Roman engineering. Looking at something like this, it was so vivid. You felt like you were transported in time. So yes, I got emotional looking at a pile of dirt. The archaeologist made some jokes. Masick remembers. So hot mixing. So this is the whole point. It goes on further. I think this is absolutely fascinating. Fascinating. Masick's scientific paper from MIT in 2023, and colleagues published a paper describing robust chemical analysis on Roman concrete, right? They proposed a manufacturing process that explained why the material was so durable. Hot mixing. Hot mixing, folks. The theory was that builders mixed lime fragments with volcanic ash and other dry ingredients before adding water. Here we go. Margaret, you were so close. But you didn't add the volcanic ash. Sorry, Margaret. When they eventually added the water, the chemical reaction generated immense heat. So that's where we go into it. That immense, huge amount of heat, which is also added to by the volcanic ash. Simple. But we didn't know this. We didn't know the real process. So this preserved the lime as small white gravel-like chunks. When cracks inevitably formed in the concrete later on, water would seep in, hit those lime chunks and dissolve them, eventually recrystallizing to fill the cracks. So in other words, you've got annealed lime that then is heated up again, and it just sort of fills all the cracks again. You know, it's just like that. I'm going to be completely wrong in what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. A guy replaced the screen on my car recently, and I said, is it true you can actually sort of rebind the glass molecules together? And he said yes, but we can't do it for really extensive damage. And it's all about this process. It's all about this extensive process. So think about this massively heated, hyperbolic chemical reaction. So it was stunningly beautiful mechanics of this process working, which they saw. But there was one problem: it contradicted the history books. For centuries, historians relied on the writings of Vitruvius. If anyone knows Vitruvius, they will know that Vitruvius is this great engineer. I'm sure, like I said, David probably come across Vitruvius, but Vitruvius was this Roman engineer, right? A famed architect who wrote the definitive guide on buildings just before the birth of Christ. Vitruvius explicitly wrote that builders should create a wet paste with lime and water before mixing it with sand, a process known as slaking, right? So slake lime. So having a lot of respect for Vitruvius, it was difficult to suggest that his description may be inaccurate. Masick says the writings of Vitruvius played a critical role in stimulating my interest in ancient Roman architecture, and the results from my research contradicted these important historical texts. So it wasn't just the process of sand and sort of lime and making a paste. It was also the reaction associated with the requirement of needing this volcanic ash. The volcanic ash is the key ingredient, right? That's more than anything. I'm just going to mention that this is Margaret's fault. It's all because of you, Margaret, right? Somebody who was in the know looked at my video on Caligula the other day, and they said, "You've nailed it."
Oh,
So
good.
don't know if anyone's actually looked at my video on Caligula, and that one that I spent a lot of time on. YouTube picked it up and did not promote it simply because I'm using copyrighted music. But sometimes you've got to challenge, right? David knows this on the work he's done. Andy knows this. All those types of people who've done all that sort of level of research. When you challenge things, you can go further, right? And this is what Masick did. This is why the Pompeii find is a smoking gun. The team found intact lime fragments pre-mixed with other ingredients in a dry, raw material pile, ready to add the slop, the water. It clearly shows that the Romans on site were preparing to hot mix cement, defying Vitruvius' instructions. Masick's initial hypothesis was confirmed, right? So when we're talking about quicklime, is the process of adding water. Slaked is when water's already been added and it's a powder form. So that's the difference. This is what we're talking about with Vitruvius, right? So it's not it wasn't. You're adding something to heat it up. A hyperbolic reaction. Masick's initial hypothesis was confirmed. So basically, here we go. Self-healing concrete plugs, cracks with CO2 sucked from the air. So it makes this work. It really, really does. And we've got a few other things to basically talk about, and then we'll move on to the next bit tonight. We were blessed to be able to open this time capsule of a construction site and find piles of material ready to be used for the wall. With this paper, we wanted to clearly define a technology and associate it with the Roman period in the year AD 79. So in other words, what we're talking about, they must have had, they must have worn gloves to be able to do this, right? I've been in the building industry, right? And it's not all about using a trowel. It's about hands, making sure that everything, and this stuff's going to burn. It's going to burn you. You're not going to do it with a cut either. Perhaps Vitruvius was simply describing a different method, or perhaps hot mixing was a trade secret kept off the books. So it's basically using quicklime, ash, bits of broken bits of broken tile as well. All those ingredients, and then you mix the paste. It's hot, and you've got to use it straight away. And remember, the temperatures in building in Pompeii would have been, at times, you're building structures at 40 degrees C. That's the temperature around, right? So this reactions producing temperatures at boiling point or beyond boiling point. You've got to be able to use it straight away, right? It's going to burn you, so you're going to be using gloves. So, because what I'm going to do, I got one last quote here, and we're going to use it. Right, I wasn't going to do this, but we're going to do it. So this makes it really relevant. So this could matter today, right? So if you need any building work done in your garden, Margaret, me and Andy are going to be there, and we're going to use the Roman technique. And both me and Andy will end up in hospital. But you can visit us with flowers and chocolate. So anyway, one last thing. Roman concrete was so innovative that it could even be of use to us today. Hence, Andy and my quote. Modern Portland cement is a major polluter, responsible for about 8% of global carbon dioxide emissions. And despite that high cost, our concrete rots, it cracks, steel reinforcement ruts, and buildings fail. But these buildings didn't. They didn't. The Pantheon is still there. The Hadrian's Wall still there. Oh yeah, we go to a fragment of Hadrian's Wall today as well. So there is the historical importance of this material, and then there is the scientific and technological importance of understanding it. This material can heal itself over thousands of years. It is reactive and it is highly dynamic. It has survived earthquakes, volcanoes. It has endured under the sea, as Roger said, and survived degradation from the elements. The Roman method offers a path towards resilience. We don't want to completely copy Roman concrete, as Mazik explains. We just want to translate some parts of it into our modern constructional practice. So obviously 8% emissions, there we go. That reduced that to zero, job done. So the builders in Pompeii knew what they were doing. They built a legacy that would outlast their empire, their language, eventually inspiring technology 2,000 years later. It kind of makes you wonder, what other secrets does Pompeii still hold? I tell you what, I want some documents for in the libraries that they still got to excavate at Pompeii. Remember, a third of it's not been excavated. We did this last week, and I'm just showing you this just quickly. We did the Benwell Valham crossing last week, and I just wanted to show you this again. Sometimes people post stuff on Facebook, and you see stuff in my books that I use, and you think, I want to do this, but there's something that I want to show you from Colchester today that I missed when I took the group there, right? It was there in front of us. And I didn't take people in to show it. But we're not going to do that yet. So some of this, and there's an image today that I thought, oh my God, why haven't I told them about this? So we're going to go on to that shortly. Oh, sorry, there's the new film I'm working on. Right. I'm going to show you this, which I was not going to show anybody, right? And this is one reason that's made me starting to doubt archaeology a bit, right? Roger will know exactly what I'm talking about. 1 year ago, the archaeological department at Lampeter University closed. They abandoned those buildings there, and I've got images inside those buildings where the day that they left that structure, it's full of unprocessed archaeological finds, antlers, flints, Roman medieval pottery in boxes, all beyond that window, right? With computer monitors, all left, all abandoned. Out in the yard of the university, it's full of boxes and boxes full of artifacts. There's a shed on the left, which I'm not showing you an image. I might show more of this next week, right? But those boxes are full of samples, right? All these timbers here are from an archaeological site. They've just been dumped outside. There's a skip full of material just being dumped outside. Dendrochronology dating, the archaeological department just closed. They abandoned the archaeology. Now, as an archaeologist, there are certain rules that I've got to follow, right? There's certain doctrines that I've got to do. I've got to publish everything, right? I've got to record everything. I've got to make records. I've got to put stuff in museums. I've got to make sure the well-being of artifacts is safe. but this is a university level archaeological department, and these people are associated with the Council for British, not the Council for British Archaeology, the Chartered Institute of Field Archaeology, right, which has standards. Everything's been broken, right? In that box, there's fines. And look at that. Underneath there's fine bags, there's trays and trays and trays and trays of archaeology. It's all been abandoned. So whenever an archaeologist ever lectures me on anything that I've done right or wrong, right, I will always remember that the history and archaeology of the country that I used to love, which I can't stand anymore, Cymru Wales, right, treats its heritage in this deplorable way, right? And I'm absolutely horrified. People can actually, there's boxes and boxes of flints that I can actually show you that have just been dumped. So this might sound shocking, but I'm so ashamed at this minute of even calling myself an archaeologist. If archaeologists nearby just abandon an archaeological unit and that they do this with the history of my country, which I used to be proud of once.
Wouldn't your local newspaper be interested in reporting about that?
That would be the complete and utter end of any archaeological career I've got. But maybe that's
okay.
what I am being told by ex-members of staff at Lampeter University to go ahead and do it. So if I do this, if I go to the media about this, then you know, I've got no friends.
Could you be anonymous?
I can't be anonymous because I've already put videos out about this, but it hasn't actually showed the locality. But yeah, this is. Are you shocked by this, or am I overreacting?
No, it's it's shocking.
What about you, Roger? This is your heritage, your archaeology. This is about your country that you love. What do you think?
Well, so much archaeology is kept in vaults in museums that we don't see. In general, I've seen some of it because we've been delving into pottery and that, but a lot of it's hidden anyway. And there's a problem with storage. They could have kept stuff inside in the building safe until they could deal with the finds and see what other things might happen in the university to resurrect some archaeology, maybe. I don't know the full story. It's to do with finance, naturally. We know. They're cutting back. People are losing jobs in universities because they can't fund it. So it's a shame that way, but there's no excuse for losing all this stuff to let it rot and just be taken away, maybe.
There is no excuse.
It's probably used for fires, you know, and stuff like this. So that's totally wrong. There's a good reason why they had to go, yes, but you're right there in that they could have kept stuff inside, locked the buildings up, steel door, and say, right, until we can do something. That should have been done. The folding up of the department finances lack of some things you can't avoid.
I was actually doing some research for the new film, right? And I was just thought, right, I thought all the buildings in the university were empty, right? So the other images I've got of photographs looking inside the building, and it's from the very day that the archaeological department was abandoned. It's like loads of bags there, weighing scales, computer.
What's on the floor? It looks like leaves are blown in, are they, or what?
Yeah, this is how long it's been. It's been a year.
What's on the floor that leaves have been blown in through some?
Yeah, no, this is outside. You know, this is. I'm not showing you. I'm not showing you. I'm not showing you what's inside that building. But
it looked like it's inside.
No, this is outside.
Well, it's just unsightly, isn't it?
What is it related to? You've told us before about how people are really anxious to dig, but then they don't deal with what they've got. You've mentioned that before. We need to look what they have, the samples they have. Could it be related to that? That they don't get on with it.
I think what the problem is, and you'll probably understand what I'm talking about. There's so much for we want to dig. We want to keep digging and digging
Yes.
and digging
Yeah.
and digging, right? And unfortunately, it's producing more and more material, right? That archaeologists are not. But what they're trying to do, that what it is, they're trying to keep the public happy, right? So we dig things up, and then the public don't realize that only 10% of what they're seeing, right, is the other 90% is background, where all this stuff has to be researched and stored and looked at, right? There's stuff in museums. We do this, we talk about this every week. A newspaper article 20 years ago, something was found, it's been in a box, nobody's looked at it, and now we've looked at it. It's amazing, right? I went to, when I was doing my research for my live show last year and a bit, I went into the vaults of Carmarthen Museum, right? And they showed me, they had this gold stuff on the desk, right? So there were 4 members of staff around me. One was obviously making sure that I didn't go off with the gold, which is the right thing to do because I could be anybody, right? There was 2 people with me looking at this, and we're making videos, and I was handling this gold, and this was in the vaults. Nobody looks at this stuff, right? And that's gold, right? So for me in particular, right? I hope you don't take this the wrong way, Andy. When Andy talks about the new excavations in Cumbria, and there's all this new work going on and so on, but sometimes I'm thinking too much work's going on now, and most of it is unnecessary, right? And what we've got to do is look at museums, look at the stuff in the museums. And for example, there's 2 good examples of archaeological departments in Britain, right? And Andy, I'm not criticizing anything about the Cumbrian archaeologists at all, right? I just made a comment about there's a lot of archaeological work in Cumbria that may not need to be taking place because we've got all this stuff in museums. But Colchester archaeology, I mentioned Colchester archaeology, right? They do so much research on the stuff that they found in Colchester, right? That it's intense. So when somebody says, "Oh, look at that tiny object there," somebody can write a book about it, right? But in other parts of Britain, right, the stuff is not being researched properly, right? When the archaeologists stopped the archaeological excavations at the Nessa Brodgar, he didn't stop them because there was not enough there to excavate. He stopped them because he realized that the next 10 years of his entire life, he's going to be sat there processing the archaeological work with a team of 10, 20 people, right? With the excavations of the Nessa Brodgar that went on for 20 odd years, right? He stopped the excavations. They're on his land, right? It's his property. And he said, right, I need to allow my sheep to graze here, right? And what he's done the right thing by closing the excavations. He was keeping the excavations going at the Nessa Brodgar to train people, right? When in fact, he needed to stop that ages ago, right? But he's now stopped it. He's done the responsible thing, and now he's going to process the work. Right. Andy, do you want to, and I've mentioned Andy a couple of times, and I wasn't having a go, but Andy, would you like to respond to anything that I've just said?
No, a lot of the stuff is the A66 road widening, so that's
different.
Yeah, that's just been dug up anyway.
Can you explain why that's different from what I've just said? Because Andy's nailed it.
Yeah, the A66 is obviously a major road widening scheme that's going on, and the archaeology is being discovered as part of that project. So it's ground that will be disturbed and destroyed as part of the road building process, and that needs to be recorded before that. So that. But
do you agree with me? If a site's just nicely standing there,
yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean it is a difficult one because everyone's a certain person that I work with a lot can't wait to get her hands on all sorts of things. I think, well, we don't need to do that. You can survey it. You can use GPR. You can use all sorts of geophys measuring stuff that will give you a good idea of what's going on there. You don't really need to dig anything up nowadays to do much, unless it's being in danger. And like you said, there is so much lying around that just needs reassessing or just assessing because it's never been assessed.
So. Exactly. exactly.
But did you say they've got loads of stuff inside the buildings as well, and lots of computers and
it's stacked.
office work?
Okay, I'll show you those images next week. It's stacked. It's full of stuff.
So it's just been mothballed.
Yeah, don't forget that the equipment will belong to the university, so that can be repurposed. But I mean, if they're leaving artifacts out, there's going to be a lot more inside. So
the thing is, I looked through the window and there was an arrangement of antler picks just on a table, and I just thought
it's a real shame.
This was completely innocent, right? This was completely innocent. I was naive enough to think of. I took a photograph of like a white a flip chart inside, and that was the first bit of the video, and I thought, oh, right, they just abandoned the flip chart. So I went around the back and there's a farmer's gate, and I just thought, what the hell are these boxes? So I jumped over the farmer's gate and I thought, I took all these photographs. There's a shed on the left there that's full of boxes that have just been tipped over and artifacts scattered on the floor. And there's I'll show you them next week. Right. Okay. Thank you for that, everybody. So we're going to go on a positive now. This. Andy, where the hell is this?
No idea.
Oh, come on, someone.
Adrian's Wall.
You're not going to get any. You're going to not going to get any points for that at all, Margaret. Come on, give me another guess.
Well, it's towards the east. It's more towards the east of Hadrian's Wall.
No. Hang on.
But it is part of Hadrian's Wall, isn't it?
More towards the west. And do you know what? We could have seen this on our trip.
Is it near Brampton?
Yes. Come on. I'll give you 5 points for that. I'm being really nasty tonight. So go on.
Birdoswald area.
It's close.
Oh God.
It's close. Right. All right then. All right then. It's quite. I looked at this and I thought we could have visited this, and I just didn't think it existed. Right. It's known as Hare Hill.
Oh.
It's Hare Hill, right? So I'll show you where Hare. And we're gonna have to go through all the images a minute. Oh, hang on. No, we won't go through all the images. I'll show you when we get to it, right? Because I'll muck this up, right? But it's basically near Brampton. It's near Lanacrost, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it basically says as follows. Wow, I was looking at this and I thought, how naive and stupid am I, right? Judith knows that, you know, the amount of hassle I've done to try and do my 1-minute Roman videos, and I stopped doing them for a while. You know, I've had a lot of other stuff going on, and but I saw this a few days ago and I thought, I've got to share this with you. I really have. And look at that carving there. There's a carving there. You can see it. The centurial stone in the north face of Hadrian's Wall at Hare Hill, right? So this points out over the landscape, right? Photographed in 1975, the inscription is now barely visible. And I know the one thing that I did with Lanacrost, I basically said to Andy, take the gang. I will meet you then at Castlerig, and look for some carvings on stones, some of these centurial stones at Lanacrost. Andy can talk about that in a minute if you that experience. But the Hare Hill section of Hadrian's Wall, there we go again. The Hare Hill section of Hadrian's Wall stands to a height of 3 meters. Drum roll. And the core of the wall is originally but part of the face has been reconstructed. Right? We don't know how much has been reconstructed. I think the other side has been reconstructed. This hasn't, because it's got the centurial stone in it. Look at that there, right? I think the opposite side has been reconstructed. This looks really good. It's really nice bit of wall. Maybe the edges, right? But so the core of the wall is original. Hadrian's Wall was built by the Romans between AD 122 and 130, say. As we know, it stretched over 70 odd miles from the River Tyne to the Solway Firth. And every Roman mile along the wall, there was a mile castle. A Roman mile is slightly shorter than a modern mile, but only by about 100 meters. But basically, when we think about this, right, this bit of a wall is there showing. I got really, really fascinated by this bit of a wall. You know, I thought this was absolute lush. And the closest car park available is Lanacost Priory, a 13-minute walk away. So, tell you guys, if the weather had been perfect for that trip that we did to, you know, Hadrian's Wall that time, we would have visited the quarry that we mentioned last week with some carvings in, which Roger was on about, and I was on about. And we would, if I'd have known that this was there, we would have visited this. So it survived. And why has this survived? It says it probably survived because it was later built into the wall of a medieval structure. So when you think about some of the stones that have actually survived at Avebury from the Neolithic period, you made into barns. That's how they survived. This is how this survived. In the 1800s, it says in the 1800s, it was substantially rebuilt, but I'm trying to work out what was rebuilt. Using Roman masonry, which was probably retrieved from the surrounding area. How much of it been rebuilt? But this to me looks really genuine. I'm looking at this and thinking, that looks genuine. How much of this has been reconstructed? And it goes back to that real thing. I've got so excited over this, trying to think, this does look genuine. How much of this is genuine? How much of this is rebuilt? Is the core of this, blah, blah, blah. So when people are reconstructing things, they really need to tell us what is the original and what is the reconstruction. And I'm sure you'd all agree. Now, I had a bit of a Richard Burton earlier on because I wanted to show you so much more of Colchester, but I think I've got enough to take us on after the break, right? So we're gonna, this guy, I've got some photographs of this guy and his work in Colchester, right? I've just picked these up off the internet actually, so there we go. And basically what we've got, we'll start this off with the George, right? Now, one thing I need to do is that if I ever get to 70, right, I am going to write a book on the Roman stone remains in Britain, right? And it's just going to be stone remains in Britain. It's going to be none of these earthworks. Most of the Antonine Wall isn't going to be in it. Probably none of the Gascoigne. It'll just be stone stuff, right? I will go around towns and cities and I will just record stone stuff, right? Stuff on display in pubs. Because Lincoln, there's loads. Colchester, there's when me and Roger went to Colchester and whoever else went, right? Peter was on Colchester as well. I think Sandra went as well. No, she didn't, did she? Anyway, when we went to Colchester, I thought we did everything, right? But two structures and two things in Colchester we didn't do, right? And there's probably more. Oh, there's also that vape shop. Can you remember that Adam? He's still a member, actually. Remember that Adam who used to come along to classes? He went to the vape shop, right? Basically, they'd just done the vape shop in Colchester, right? They had done a bit of digging for drains, and underneath the main window at the vape shop, they had actually found a mosaic, right? And they were actually going to display this image. They're going to put some glass on it. But when he went there, I think he went to the wrong vape shop, right? And he didn't see it. But there's bits like that in lots of Roman places in Britain, right? And it's just trying to find them. And there's probably more stuff out there. I think in Carlisle, there's bits in Carlisle that I haven't seen, right? That people are keeping to themselves. There's very little in Carlisle Roman stuff. There's the baths, the bit of wall, there's the museum. That's it. But and you're probably going to shout out, and there's a little bit more. But yeah, I want to know. I want to see all this stuff. I want to know where it all is. We're going to do this after the break, right? Because when you go to this pub, the George, right, in through the main doors, there's actually a cupboard, right? Not this. I thought I had the image. There's a cupboard, right? And there's a glass plate behind it. And that there is actually the destructive layer of Colchester's destruction under Boudica, which you can actually see displayed in this pub, right? And there it is, this layer. It's only a couple of inches thick, but is much deeper in other parts of Colchester. And this runs through Colchester. That's the thick burnt material that when you excavate it, you create objects like this, which we're going to do after the break. Right, so what we're going to do now, I'm probably thinking I need a break now. I've been talking endlessly for an hour. There is something that I wanted to say to you all, and I wanted to chat with you all as well. And it's not one of those chats, but it's one of those chats. And I want to have a chat, right? And we're gonna try and yes. So before we ask if any of you have got any questions, right? I wanted to mention, right, that there's Will, there's Andy, there's David Rogers, there's Margaret, and if Anne wants to ask her, Janice Lee, your yearly memberships are up to receive a Lessig pillar in the post and all the rest of it, right? And the thing I wanted to have a chat with you about is, other than these classes that we're providing, and I'm not going to stop doing these classes, and I'm so relieved that Anne's back. I'm so relieved that Anne and Pat are back on the Wednesday, because I was talking to myself at one stage, and I thought, well, we'll just have one class a week, but the three of you coming back has saved that, right? And Anne, if you could ask Janice if she wants to come back. She only joined us for a very short period of time, but those are the membership side of things. And I'm just thinking, well, this £36 a year, right? It's important to pay a few things that we've got to pay out on. But I would like to know what you feel that you would like for membership going forward. And what I'm going to do is, I know David's probably want to go now, but before I ask David a question or whatever, I want to start maybe with Margaret, asking if you've got any points you want to make so far this evening, and sort of that membership side of things that I ask everybody to pay every year. What would you like out of it more than just getting the magazine we send out? And what would you like done with the money? Because it could just all go to the charity, and then hopefully one day we'll have a lot more money in the account and we can do something with it. I know I'm putting you on the spot, Margaret. Your thoughts?
Well, it's a pity we can't get together and have archaeological outings like we used to do, but I understand you're tied up with the farm and acting and everything.
Yeah.
So that's a shame. So I don't know, other than that, I'm quite happy just turning up on a Tuesday night and getting your illicit pillar every so often.
Yes. And,
no, just miss the the trips out. That's all.
Okay. That fair enough. Okay, so we're gonna get on to David now, because I know David wants to go. David.
Thank you. Lucy, thank you.
Okay, and David, are you leaving us now for tonight?
Oh no.
Okay. Oh, he's got to. He's got to have a cup of coffee before he goes.
I'll be going earlier as well, Carl.
Anyway, no, David.
Oh no.
No, David. Oh, Roger, you're not going, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, Roger.
Roger, do you want to say something, Roger, before you go?
No, just enjoyed it all, and like with Margaret, the trips we all miss. As I told you, all the trips, every one we didn't do them all, but a lot. Enjoyed every one. Always got something out of them. It wasn't always easy for you. We had some hiccups like a Traitors' Wall and bits, but they all worked.
Yeah.
And it gave us something great, which is on top of all the stuff you're giving us now.
Yeah.
So that's an important side of it. The rest of it works well with your newsletter as professional and everything else. And your books are going in, you think, fine, research, couldn't be better. So it's even if it was just one trip a year.
Yeah, no, Okay, yeah, I'm going to take. I think we need to address that meeting side of things, because I want to say this, Roger, and I want you to stay on a minute, right? Obviously, I've nearly got another book coming out, but that's going to be a local based book on Barry and district, but it might be useful to lots of people. I'll say something that was said on Wednesday, right? Which you probably all think as well, but I'm going to say what they said on Wednesday. Anne suddenly come back with one. Anne suddenly come back 2 weeks ago, right? And then Pat suddenly signed in half an hour later, and I thought they hadn't planned this, right? And they basically both said, Anne said this. I think I'm not really sure what she said exactly, but she said, I left the group because I didn't feel it was for me. I was sort of losing interest, blah blah blah. But then Anne on a Wednesday, she said, actually, I was interested in what we were doing, and she missed the community and the group and the family that we had on a Wednesday. And she said, actually, that's the reason she came back, right? Which was quite powerful. And then Pat said the same thing, and then it was like, right, that's really that really hit a nerve, because I just thought, oh God, I'm turning up every week to do these, blah blah blah. But when no, I'm not saying that that's what I'm thinking, but you could think that that's what I'm thinking. And then suddenly people say, actually, it's a lot more than a group of people coming together online every night, right? And it is that community, right? And maybe it's taken Anne and Pat to say that without others saying it, and maybe they mean the same thing. And that's quite powerful.
Yeah.
The thing with our group here was spread around, so you get interest from different parts of the country and Canada.
And Canada, yeah.
And Rumney. Okay, Roger. If you need to go, then I'll keep chatting.
Yeah. See you all next week.
Yeah. Take
Good night,
care.
Roger.
Bye.
All the best.
Keep going. And all interesting stuff there with the state of archaeology. Totally agree. Okay then.
Okay.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Good luck with the leg.
Thank you.
Oh, good luck with the leg. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay then.
No, Rog.
Take
Bye.
care. Good luck.
Bye.
No. Do you know what I have been thinking is that I spent about £1,000 on canvases of different archaeological stuff, and some of them were never used for the live show. They're still in bubble wrap in the studio in Barry, and I just thought, well, maybe doing a comical live show that I had done, because what happened the last live show that we did, we had a big, the hall was too big, right? But the one before that we were packed out, right? And I just thought, right, okay, so I didn't do it again, but I've got all that stuff, and maybe something like that I could sort of right, okay, we'll have a ticket thing, and we'll try and get 20 people along in a hall, and we'll have a live show an evening, and we could do it in Cumbria,
Yay.
It would be, I could do that. I'd probably just I'll probably chuck it all in the back of the car and come up by myself and just sleep in the car overnight. But I've done that when I'm acting, believe it or not. But yeah, that could be doable. And I probably wouldn't go back to Claire's place, because I wouldn't get out alive. I wouldn't go back to Karen and Andy's place. And Karen would corner me and say, "You take up my husband's time every single Tuesday. It's your fault I don't never see him." So maybe that's not a good idea either, but that's life. Right. Okay then. Judith, a wanton Fraggle. Any comments on the two issues that we've mentioned? Anything you want to say about the archaeology company thing, sort of the membership thing, or what we've said tonight?
Oh, I don't know where to start with that archaeology thing, but that other group, what was it? Carmarthen and no, what are they called? The Carmarthen and Gwent.
The Glamorgan and Gwent Archaeological Trust.
They were a disgrace as well, weren't they? So I'd love to say I'm surprised, but I'm not really.
The Glamorgan and Gwent Archaeological Trust were a really bad outfit, and now they've gone as well. So
they've squandered all the money and they've disappeared. What have they spent it on? Champagne and hookers.
Oh, what?
Got champagne and conkers.
They've been given thousands and thousands in grants over the years, haven't they? What have they spent it on? Champagne and hookers.
Probably the hookers. This is the problem. This is the problem. It's not the root of it is that because we're a devolved government in this sham of a thing, sham of a country. There's too much money around, and there was a case about 8 years ago where there was this really old building, and this really old building in a place known as Tonopandi, right, was a building that there was going to be, that in 1922 it nearly sparked a civil war in Britain, right? The miners were all there, and Winston Churchill turned up with the army and lined all the miners up against, and they were going to shoot them all, right? Luckily, he didn't do that, and he would have never have become prime minister.
Sometimes you only need to threaten something like that, don't you?
Yeah. So basically, all the miners dissolved. They had homes to go to, right? That was basically the end of, I think, 1922 miners' strike. Anyway, this massive building, right, which was built roughly in about 1890, right? There was a local MP called Chris Bryant, who we will not name by name, this MP managed to get about £160,000 in grant funding, right, from the National Lottery, right, to do an assessment on preserving this building. Every single penny went.
Wasn't he the chap that used to be a vicar?
Well, Chris Bryant's still an MP.
I think he was a clerical person, wasn't he, before?
And he's still an MP in the current government. And what we've got all this money is squandered, right? Is squandered all the time. And it's just, you know, I got to be honest with you, in the pandemic, right? We were given a lot of money, right? And we were given £8,000 for, not £8,000, £800 for a GoPro camera, right? And then we were given some more money towards it, and we were also given some money towards having iPads, right, for my students in Lantwick Major and Bridgend, right? And then after the pandemic, these 4 iPads are still in a box, and we're just looking at them thinking, what do we do with them, right? And we had this GoPro set of equipment which I used to film stuff through the pandemic, right? But there were so many examples like that of money being used and the stuff never ever being used again. And then we talk about money not being available for our heritage and our archaeology because the money's squandered.
Oh, that's depressing.
Well, these people should be made accountable to us, shouldn't they? They're employed by us, so they are accountable to us.
Yes.
So it's up to us to sort them out.
And unfortunately, do you know what? We haven't mentioned a single political party or anything tonight, and we're slightly away from politics in a way, but archaeology is very political. And unfortunately, it would be so great to get people in those in the basements of museums and libraries to study this stuff. But it's still about archaeological excavation. The problem is with television series like Digging for Britain, right? It's always about archaeological excavation. It's very little about what's in our museums, and that's what it should be about. The trays and boxes of artifacts that have not been looked at. And I've got to be honest with you, I'm an archaeologist in the same boat. I'm struggling to get my archaeological archive published, but I'm doing it, and it's slow, but I'm slowly getting it done. But
you should have a word with Dan Snow. He'd highlight things like that.
I'm sure I might come across Dan Snow one day, and I'll have a word. Right.
Have a word with him.
Have a word. Anne, anything you want to say, love?
Not really. I haven't given it much thought. I do think something I am, say, very concerned about generally, which you've touched on, is community. And I do think we have a little community here, and I did miss it when I wasn't coming. I mean, I wasn't coming because I couldn't sleep. Well, my sleep's got better, but I do think, yes, that has been a great joy to meet other people with similar interests, and you giving us plenty of information which otherwise wouldn't know about. And it's a kind of an enrichment of life.
It is, yeah.
I feel you want to understand it even today better.
Yes.
Little understanding of the past. I haven't got much, but I do feel it's been a help, yes.
But how do you feel about it, Carl? Are you happy carrying on with what you're doing?
When I've got people saying, look, there's a reason for what we're doing, then it makes it worthwhile. There are other parts of my life that I'm feeling there's not a reason for doing that. You know, I'll just I'll just say what color the kettle is as it is. I spent the last 2.5 years helping my parents out. My dad's got Alzheimer's, and I've managed to get him help, tablets. I've had to ask some of my political contacts and do things for some of my political contacts that I wouldn't want to do usually. And to get my dad help, I've managed to get him help 4 times a week. And then my 2 nieces come on board and they say, "Oh, we'll do all this." And I've just thought, I've just wasted the past 2.5 years. So I've had to walk away from my parents, and that's it. And it's a hard thing to do, but it's really screwed up my head.
Yeah.
I was driving along the other day. I nearly crashed the car. I nearly had some kind of breakdown. I said, I thought I can't do this anymore. So there's certain things like that I just got to walk away from. Because
I'm just thinking, you don't have a holiday from us. We go away and have a week or 2 here and there. You don't ever have a holiday from us. You're here apart from Christmas. You're here every Tuesday and Wednesday, so you never have a break from us, which maybe you should do. But maybe you should have a week or 2 in the summer.
But then again, I don't have a break from the animals, it's.
But we don't want you to ever feel that it's a chore doing this.
It's, as I say, there are things that are a chore, and this is still here, and it's not. You know, I've still got the energy to do this. I tell you what. I'll be honest with you. There have been times in the past that it has been a chore, right? I would be. This was roughly. There would be times that I'd be teaching this. This was before and around and sort of in the middle of the pandemic that I would be teaching 5. In the pandemic, it was 7 days a week, right? And I was going literally cuckoo, right? And that was for a whole year. But before that, I would be teaching on a Tuesday, and then I would then come and do this on a Tuesday evening, right? And there were 1 or 2 occasions that I would be lecturing and I would be slurring, and I'd be saying things, and I thought, I need a break, right? That did happen, right? But my only connection to do with archaeology now is what I'm doing on a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
But you still got to research things to give us these classes, haven't you?
Yes.
So it's not just when you're online, it's all the research you have to do beforehand and afterwards.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. So,
So you may be doing a bit too much with everything else as well.
I've just cut back a lot recently. I really have. I've got a little list, and I've just cut back a lot of things. So
you have a lot of interests, don't you, that you want to pursue? You know, your acting, your animals. I mean, all of that takes its toll when you've got to meet deadlines, or you've got to be there for your animals, and it must take a toll. I mean, it's lovely that you have, and I think if people have got a great deal of interest like that, or well, their life is so enriched by it. But at the same time, you do have a lot of
you need to sit back sometimes.
Yeah, the thing is, the other point with this is that you know, what happened with that sheep was that it came at the time that I was just doing the realization thing with my parents, and I remember driving down the motorway, right? This is the day that this happened with that sheep. I remember driving down the motorway, right, absorbing what was going on with my parents, right, and I just thought, I'm not safe driving. I remember being on the M4 motorway, and I thought, you're going to crash in a minute, and I remember thinking that. And I went to Barry. I spoke to a script writer of the next film. Michelle was, strangely enough, on the only day on that Thursday that she wasn't here, right? And then coming back to that, I was absolutely mortified.
So going back to the Roman walls.
Yeah, go for it, and then we'll have a chat with Will and Andy, and I'm going to put the kettle on, and I got to fondle some sheep.
Well, the Roman walls in Britain, Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah.
Are the walls in the rest of the Roman Empire exactly the same? The frontier walls?
No.
Is it to do with the kind of stone that they have locally? Is that what it is?
No, this is the big thing, right? There's no set sense of Roman frontiers really in most parts of the Roman Empire. It's either earthen banks or rivers and stuff. It's no set thing. Going back to the original point, is Hadrian's Wall actual frontier? And I very much doubt that it is. It's something different, right? And the Romans had the ability to build the Great Wall of China around the borders of their entire empire. They chose not to do it, right? So no, the answer is not like this.
And you know, like the forts on Hadrian's Wall, they all kind of sit astride the wall.
Yes.
Which I don't think they do anywhere else, do they? Or am I wrong?
When you say astride, do you mean that
you can travel through from one side to the other? They're not set back or in front of the wall. They're all kind of astride.
Oh, basically connected to it rather than
yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So that's the whole point. When you look at Staingate, south of Hadrian's Wall, you've got Corbridge. And you've got that is several miles away from Hadrian's Wall because that was on the road, right? But when Hadrian's Wall was built, it's strangely enough, they had this massive fort there. They could have just built Hadrian's Wall alongside it, but they didn't. They decided to build Hadrian's Wall north of it, which is another clue to what Hadrian's Wall is, right? And the other thing as well is if you're building a military frontier, if you've already got a fort there, several forts, there's not just Corbridge, there's others, right? What you could have done is just brought the wall a little bit further back, right? And it would have had more killing ground in front, right? So if you've got like these mile castles and these forts and you've got a great drop, right? You don't have much control over what's in front of you, right? So what I'm talking about is when you look at is it Bar Hill? Am I getting it mixed up? The one with the weird holes outside it, the ankle breakers and the ditches.
Oh, Rough Fort.
Rough Fort, that's it. Sorry, Rough Fort. Yeah, that's right. Anton Wall. That's got a killing ground in front, right? That's got a killing ground, right? The whole point militarily, a killing ground is line of sight, right? if you've got a great drop, it might be strategic, right? But you don't have an idea what's coming at you, right? If you've got a killing ground, so if they set Hadrian's Wall back, you'd have had a killing ground in front. It's except they set Hadrian's Wall forward, where you've got escarpments and drops, right? It's not a militarily sound landscape, right? And Hadrian's Wall is built in sections. Some of it is not as wide as the other bits of the wall, right? So yeah, these forts are directly connected to the wall, right? As you said. So it doesn't make sense in that. And Hadrian's Wall is going to have questions. Maybe somebody's going to find a written tablet somewhere at Vindolanda and it's going to explain it.
Oh, maybe I'll see it next week.
May whilst they've excavated it, it'll be you.
Yeah.
Right. Andy, anything you want to say, love?
No, not really. No, I mean, quite happy with the magazine and things coming in and all the rest of it. Yeah, trips would be nice, but I can understand why they're not happening.
So, right, carry on, Andy.
Yeah, no, there's nothing much more to add, really.
What we are planning on doing is actually having a helper on site occasionally. And the one thing I sent, some of you may have had a letter about the excavation here, and it basically said we're trying to get a site caravan on site so we can get a volunteer here to sort of stay that can do some of the archaeological work. And we raised £450 for that. And it basically there is a group of people that within what we're doing that pay like £10 a month towards what we're doing here. And I don't think any of you had that letter, but basically we raised £450 for a caravan, which was great, but we haven't got the caravan yet, but the money's there. So once we've managed to sort that out, it means that things will be a little bit better on a footing, and therefore I could basically think, right, okay, I'll venture via the Central Road in Cymru, Wales, out via Crewe, all the way up through to Preston, back to Carnforth, and I'll be in Arnside again.
Hey.
To do, but that will depend on one of you trying to book a little location in Arnside, sell a couple of tickets, and we'll have a live show. And Anne can make the cups of tea and coffee and cakes. Oh, Drina will be good to do that. She's in the W. She's no longer in the WI, is it? She'll be perfect. Drina, we'll get her doing that.
I'd come.
What's that, Judith?
I'd drive over and have a night in a bed and breakfast or something.
You can come and stay here.
Oh, well done.
That's very kind.
Judith, I'll take you up on that offer. Maybe you might be a coordinator for me for that evening. We'll sort something out. Because basically all we need is, thank you for that, Judith, appreciate that. We just need a location with about 20 people, maybe a build-up for about 2 or 3 months. Get 20 people along in the room. We'll do a live show. That'll be for 2.5 hours in an evening, and then that's what we'll do.
Okay.
Might be able to
Andy
get the
book you in
club
at the
for that.
sailing club.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, we did something in a sailing club years ago.
Oh, has it got a bar? That's exciting.
It has got a bar.
Oh, yes, let's go there. Because I sat in a pub and waited for Anne, who didn't turn up.
Oh yeah, but that's
It's
something
a
else.
whale.
It's a good little
Sorry, not
venue,
you,
the
on a
sailing
different
club.
Right. Anyway, it's all food for thought. If keep that in your mind, and thanks for that, Judith, Andy. Sounds good. Right, Will, anything you want to say? Because I'm going to pop out and fondle a sheep.
Yes. Right. Community. I think you have a community. One of the things that brought me back after the first visit was the interest in informational and sensitivity and the entertainment factor of your presentations and the input from the other people of the group. So I think that's all positive.
Good.
I don't know about commenting on what you do most often, because not being in the same country makes it very difficult, and I'm not probably never going to be able to join you other than in the next 6 weeks, if at any chance I have a chance of visiting anybody. However, Physician Heal Thyself, my website, as a poem I wrote back in the 1980s, intended for a doctor who was working overtime, doing too much. It's pertinent to you. I'll send it to you, Carl, through Messenger. Go with that. Comment on Ayers Hill. Trust. While you were talking, the history of the Roman wall, which crosses the island of Britain from the German Ocean to the Irish Sea, describing its ancient state and its appearance in the year 1801, written
Go
by
on, tell us. I want to hear this.
William Hutton, FASS. All right.
Yeah.
So that's the title on Healthy Trust. The first thing I would say, let me just go to the page. Just let me open this up. I'm just going to read it to you if you bear with me.
Go Bear. Go on, Bear.
Proceeding from Hayden, Haden, a new wall is erected upon the spot where the old one flood, with some of its materials and the remainder are scattered. I now traverse another common half a mile over where all the works are just discernible, then passing half a mile more, part over the watery ground and the sun down. My limbs told me I'd done enough for the day, and a guide directed me where I might sleep. Let me just read you another little 2 sections. They are in sequence and what I might commit to do, right? I entered a farmhouse for intelligence. I was treated with great shyness till they understood my pursuit. It appeared they'd take me for a surveyor of land preparatory to enclosing the commons. At Ayr Hill, which by the by stands in a valley, the wall is 10 feet high and 5 yards long. But
stop a minute. So this was in 1801, yeah?
1801, yeah. But the front stones are gone. I viewed this relic with admiration. I saw no part higher. It was within 2 feet of the battlements. Near this place, the wall is 5 feet high, with the foundation of a castle, 20 yards square. Now I find a small part with 3 tiers of facing stones, 10 yards long and 4 feet high, with a new wall added by a gentleman to the old, which will preserve it. A little further, the banks and ditch are perfect, and Severus's wall is built upon the soil thrown down out of his own ditch, as is perceptible in many other places. So what I will do is I will extract this whole publication and I will put it in a video, page to page, like some of my other stuff, and I'll make that available to you. So you can, in fact, not just Hare Hill, but you can have this comparison from 1801 from somebody who has the designation FASS, which fellow of the Astrological Association, or whichever it stands for. And I'll share that with you in the next couple of weeks. It might take me a couple of weeks to do it because of my scheduling, but we'll see how I do. But I think you'll find it interesting and it gives you a bit of backup to what you were talking about tonight.
But you did mention something really weird about that.
Yes.
You mentioned Severus's wall.
Oh yeah.
That's the reference of the yes.
So in other words, I'm not even going there. I'm really not.
Yeah.
I bet you know. Right. So why did they believe it was built by Septimus Severus?
I think the only way to look at that will be to go through the full volume and follow each page to relate to where they started and where they finished.
That is just so bloody. This just so bloody weird. You mentioned Septimus
Yeah.
Severus. My head's gone. Right.
Right.
We can have a break. We need a break.
Right.
We're having a break for just over 10 minutes, so we'll be back. So it's
Right.
it's 8:56. I'm gonna fondle my chickens and sheep.
Enjoy.
I read that somebody fell in the crater of Vesuvius not long ago, taking a selfie. He dropped his phone, taking a selfie of himself, and he tried to get down to retrieve it, and he did get saved. But I imagine quite a few people have ended up in that crater out of curiosity.
Yeah, I think I may have seen that one, Margaret. But
Did you?
I may have seen the comments somewhere a few weeks
Yeah, it
ago.
wasn't that long ago, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, the risk is whether or not there's any molten lava at the base of Vesuvius, or is it at that point where it's going to erupt again, like Etna? You know, it's
Yeah. But
so,
fancy trying to retrieve his phone.
yeah.
Must be mad.
Of course, you've got the problem with sulfur gas coming
Yeah.
up through the venting system from down below. So,
Well, it is still a live volcano,
yes,
isn't
it
it?
is. Yes. So,
Mad people taking selfies.
yeah, quite strange.
Mm.
So you're doing okay, Anne?
Sorry?
Are you keeping well?
Yes, I am, thank you. I'm sleeping better. I was really falling asleep about 8 o'clock. So I was falling asleep in Carl's lectures and felt very sort of rude doing that. But yeah, I seem to have got a bit better at it. I'm still awake now, which is something, isn't it?
Well, it's a good thing, yes. But you need your sleep when you need it. That's the way it is, really.
Yes, I guess it had been coming on for a while, this sleep. But I've been working at, getting better at it. Practicing some relaxations and sleep positions and reading about what to do. And
yes,
I'm not saying it's marvelous, but it's much better than it was.
Fair enough. Any improvement is a good thing.
Yes. so many of these things that seem to come to you when you're old, they kind of say, well, it's just because you're old. But it's rarely the case. I don't think age is in itself an illness. It's just things that seem to tie you a bit or something.
Yes, and all things slow us down eventually. And like a good machine, it needs good maintenance, and we don't necessarily get good maintenance. And the NHS is usually after the fact, not in advance, and like many other things.
I suppose I've done a lot of learning though in the last 7 years, I suppose I've been at it.
Yes.
And I've been looking into the diseases of old age and what causes them, and then taking proactive, trying to keep myself fit and well. In fact, yesterday I was having a lesson on how to do Nordic walking, which is, very, so it all helps. All these little things help if you find a bit of time for them.
But there's a timeliness, unfortunately. I looked at a number of videos on chair Tai Chi, and yes, they recommend it for different age groups to build muscle strength, but things do not happen in isolation. So diet is important. Your body condition at a point when you start any type of exercise is important. And then the amount of exercise you have relative to your stature, your structure, your bone strength, these are all pertinent items.
All of it,
and nobody's going to assess that for you, unfortunately. Only you can assess yourself.
That's right. You have to go at it and see how far you can get.
Yeah.
And the thing is, all of us have probably get old. It's not the age itself. It's illnesses or things you've done before when you weren't aware of doing the right thing.
That's correct.
So we have all sorts of people who've got heart problems and all sorts of things which needn't have happened had we all known what we know now. But all of us have got problems. I mean, I've got several that I'm worried about, but on the other hand, I'm doing as well as I can with doing all of it. And I'm very aware of all this. Sleep matters, exercise matters, company matters.
Yes.
What's the other two? There are two others. I can't remember. There's two other things that matter.
I would say the first thing you have to have is a purpose in life. You have to have a goal, a target, not just a question of old age. It'd be nice to say, oh, I want to live to 100, but it's a question of saying, what is the purpose of living to be 100? What is it you want to achieve? What is it you want to develop? Are you going to self-improve yourself in some way, shape, or form? Then, of course, it makes a contribution. And contributing to others is important as to being selfish. If you're selfish and if you're independent, if you're not part of a community, I think people in those regards will struggle.
You have to know that people need you as well as you needing them, don't you? I think
that's right.
Trying to do some things and fit in with that way.
Yes,
that's important. But it's I don't know. I feel so much that our whole society has become that it doesn't help you to keep well. If we look at all the problems in the world, it's not helping.
No, there's conflict in society, and certainly in the last 70 years, I would say, or 65, that if I go back to my first solid memory, age 2, I would say from 3-4 years of age, conflict has been the way of the world in community environments.
Yeah.
That and what did you say, Margaret?
I think you need a sense of humour. My family always had, my mum and my dad, my grandparents, they were funny. They had funny bones.
Yeah.
And we just used to laugh.
Yeah.
And we still do. My children and myself, we all have a good sense of humour, and we find things funny. Try not to take things too seriously. There's always a funny side to things, and I find a sense of humour gets me through.
Yes, it is good to have.
And being happy. just trying to be happy with your lot.
Well, I'm trying to be satisfied and not pressuring yourself too much for everything, and trying to care for others if you can, if there are things you can do.
Yeah.
Well, no, we were saying community. It is. You know, I don't involve myself in a lot of things in community, but other parts in which you select your bits that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm a great joiner-inner, but I'm happy with the little things that I do.
Yes.
You know, I enjoy this. I like the painting. I like the art group. So I enjoy that. And the friends that I do have, I've had for a long time. And I've made 1 or 2 new ones as well. So I'm quite content, really, on the whole.
I even find a joy of sometimes talking to all the dogs when they go out. I really like the animals, and they almost tell you when they want to. They'll come, they'll look at you, and you know they'll welcome you. And there's others who look at you a bit askance, as if you know don't go anywhere near them. And I managed to read dogs now. I've got so used to talking to them.
You've seen in the meadow in the middle of Arnside, there are the horses in the meadow. And there's a big sign up saying meditate with horses, and a picture of people lying down with a horse.
Yeah.
And I thought, do horses like lying down? You never see a horse lying down. Do they make them lie down?
I suppose they must lie down, but you don't.
When they go to sleep,
you don't. No.
They don't lie down to go to sleep, do they? Horses. I don't know a lot about horses, actually.
I don't know enough to know.
And I thought they must make them, they must be trained to lie down. But I don't know that that's a good thing for a horse, is it?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they do it normally. They may do it when they're, really whacked out. Who knows? I don't know enough about them to know if they choose to lie down or not. I don't know.
I mean, it's all very nice for the people meditating, but I'm thinking, do the horses like to lie down? Because I don't think it's good for their legs, is it?
No, they don't. They don't lie down much at all. Horses.
No.
No.
So that's not a good thing, then, is it, for the horse?
Probably not.
No. No, they've got to be really careful with their legs.
I wondered how that worked.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they must be just trained to lie down. I can't imagine that they'd be very happy.
I mean, they do roll around in the dirt sometimes to get sort of mites off and things, but they don't let them lie down in a horse box at all, because they can't get back up.
You see foals lying down when they're young, don't you?
Mm.
When you think about it, I think I've seen a lot of probably films or something, rather than I don't see many horses anyway. But I think where foals seem to be, lie by their mother, or when they're quite small.
Mm.
I don't know. You just
underneath themselves somehow.
I just thought this. I don't know much about horses.
No, I don't. I mean, I'm probably talking absolute rubbish, because I know nothing at all, really.
No.
I mean, I think I don't know much about anything, so I talk. I can't even comment on so many things in life, because
I think there are massive gaps in my knowledge. I don't know as much as I should about nature, about birds and insects and trees. I feel as if I should know an awful lot more than I do, and I feel at my age I must have wasted a lot of time thinking about other stuff, when that's so important, isn't it, that you should know about nature. So it's my quest to learn more about nature in the next years.
I think it's amazing, though.
Well, it was Adolf Hitler's quest to invade to conquer the planet. So is that the same thing?
No.
Right. Okay.
Hang on, just
go on,
jump in.
Will.
I just Googled, do horses lie down? Yes, they must lie down at least 60 minutes to get proper REM sleep, whereas they can stand with their knees locked and stay up they get light sleep, but they actually, in order to be restorative, they need to lie down, and they should lie down for about 60 minutes. So also horses do lie down.
All right.
Voluntarily.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go then.
Yeah. Then we found something very interesting and new in our archaeology class about horses.
Well, the horses are very important because horses were first kept for their milk.
Yes, they were.
The horses were not kept to be ridden, and then they were draft animals. And then somebody said, "Oh, if you jump on the back of a horse, it can get you from A to B." But then they say, "Well, the other week somebody jumped on the back of a horse and it killed them." Well, that's not a good idea, is it? but eventually, it's the way to do it. It really is. It really is. So yeah, I've just had to talk to my little sheeps in the field.
Are they all happy tonight?
What's that?
The sheep, are they all happy tonight? They're
all happy tonight. And Sweep, whose mum Glow, who passed away, Sweep is 2 and a bit years old, and he's this big, massive sheep with weird little horns, and he looks after all the little lambs.
Yeah.
So we've got one of her offspring anyway, so that's good.
The sheep lie down to go to sleep.
Now that is a real interesting question, which I will answer now. So I'll answer that by giving you a bit of archaeology at the same time. Basically, when sheep are sometimes pregnant, when sheep are sometimes giving birth, they will lie flat. But obviously it's very rare for sheep to lie on their side, but they can lie on their side, not with their legs completely protruding, but sort of in a crouch position. Sheep that might actually then, with their body on top of their 4 legs, so when somebody approaches, they can just bounce straight up. Sheep can be extremely quick, very quick, and sheep do sleep a lot, and the baby lambs sleep a lot.
But if I see a sheep lying down in a field, I assume it's not well.
No, they sheep do sleep a lot, and
Okay.
they basically keep watch. So we haven't got many Shetland sheep left because they were our first sheep, and then we gradiated it onto more complex Bororo sheep from Scotland. But the point is, they different sheep sleep in different ways. They really do.
Okay.
Here's an archaeological fact. I probably told you this before. There was a team of archaeologists who went to West Wales this one time, because on aerial photography they saw weird mounds on the landscape. So they said to the farmer, "Oh, can we dig those things in the field?" And before the farmer actually told them what they were, right, they went ahead and started digging them, right? Anyway, they said, "Oh, these interesting cross things in a field, right? These mounds in a field. They're obviously these are obviously really important prehistoric monuments." And then the farmer turned around and said, "My dad built that. They're basically sheepfolds. Basically, they're made in the shape of a cross, so that the sheep can shelter on the one side or the other side." And the archaeologist said, "Well, why didn't you tell us?" And they said, "Well, you didn't wait to be told what they were."
Talking about sheep lying down, though, when I lived in Wales, there was a hill, a lovely sunny hill behind, and the sheep would lie on their backs with they'd sunbathe with their backs holding their legs all up, and yes, really seem to like sheep sunbathing.
Yeah, they do. They can. In regards to horses, Andy's right. You don't often see horses lying down much,
No,
but
you don't.
you can actually see a horse completely flaked out in the grass, but it does make it a little bit more awkward for them to get up. And here's another fact. If a sheep's on its back, it's got no real way of getting back up again. On its back, on its spine, right? Sheep can get tangled and it can fall. We had a sheep once, right? It was on its back, tangled up in a load of bracken, right? And it must have been there for a few hours. It was absolutely exhausted with its walls tangled in the bracken and all the rest of it, right? They can kill a sheep if it's upside down. It does happen. It does happen. Right. On that note, we're going to crack on with a little bit more archaeology before it gets completely late, and hopefully I can get back to where we were. And if I can find out where we were, then it will be good. If not, I'm going to be completely fried again. So where we go? Oh, are you seeing a weird thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm glad you could see a weird thing. Right. So there we go. And that should we'll leave it as it is. And there's that. Right. Now I did say that we'd do some Colchester stuff today. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with this again. So we're in the George, and there's this legendary layer, which is only like an inch or so on this image, but it can be several inches thick across Colchester. And that layer itself is so defined because it's so it's so heated, right? Anything melted in that disaster that befell Colchester, probably in the summer of the year AD 60. But when you think about the summer of AD 60, was it the summer of AD 60? Because it must have been after harvest, because these people would have gone out, they would have harvested their crops and then done some damage to the Romans. They wouldn't have gone to damage the Romans before the harvest, because those men and women would have needed to have been able to bring in the harvest. So you're thinking about maybe these events in AD 60 probably happened maybe in September, right? Rather than before that. So it's all to do with people didn't go to battle before they brought the crops in, basically. But that layer itself, as I say, you open the door and you can see that layer, and then all these other layers of Colchester. These are all different layers of Colchester, later Colchester, fairly modern Colchester. It's all there. I love cross sections like this, but we didn't see this on the trip. And there it is, all the burnt material there. That's the archaeology. This black layer spread across the whole of Colchester. The one thing that you could say, right, is that why isn't it thicker here, right? Why is it like a foot in some places, and why isn't it very thick here? Well, the answer is quite simple, right? If anyone's ever burnt a house, which I have, well, I've burnt a shed, right? All of that can be reduced into a small, thick, powdery, black layer, right? So a building that's got a lot of material can be reduced to basically nothing. But all the contents, such as glass objects like this, can then be melted to such a degree. That's a glass bottle, right? That's a glass bottle. So you're looking in a glass bottle. There's the top. It's all melted. And basically, to melt this, the temperatures in Colchester were in regards to maybe up to 900 degrees centigrade, right? This is how intense the temperature was in the likes of Colchester at the time. So I just want to show you this image. You've got two experts here. These are glass objects that have been found on the various archaeological excavations associated with Colchester, in regards to being operated by the Colchester Archaeological Trust. Now, the Colchester Archaeological Trust is the be-all and end-all of the organisation that's been doing the archaeological work in Colchester for decades, right? And there's a guy by the name of David Crummy, whose name comes up quite a lot, who's a big expert from the 1980s, who's been doing a lot of this archaeological excavation work. Now, what I wanted to do, I wanted to do a lot more about Colchester today, but we're running out of time. But I just wanted to do a little bit of a parody on burning and the Great Fire of Colchester. Here we go. Let's try and put the Great Fire of Colchester in context, right, with this melted glass bottle from AD 60. So think about it. The Great Fire of Colchester. The Great Fire of London in 1666 raged between the 2nd and the 5th of September and destroyed most of the city of London. within the Roman town wall of London in 1666. Why is this relevant? We'll go on to the context in a minute, including 13,000 houses and 87 churches and the cathedral. This is 1666, not Colchester yet. However, there have been a number of great fires in history. In AD 64, there was the Great Fire of Rome, which started on the night of the 18th of July and burned for 6 days. In AD 532, during the Nika riots and revolt, which started in the Hippodrome, much of Constantinople was burnt down in AD 532. In AD 1135 and AD 1212, there were two great medieval fires of London. Nobody tells us that. They're only told about the Great Fire of London of 1666. In 1675, the Great Fire of Northampton destroyed about 700 of its 850 buildings. However, in 1648, during the Civil War, the Siege of Colchester, which was a long siege between the 12th of June and the 28th of August in 1648, caused a lot of damage to the town centre, now to Colchester. But the Great Fire of Colchester was in AD 61. It's not as well known, but the Great Fire of London in AD 61 and the Great Fire of St. Albans in AD 61. I gave you a date earlier on AD 60. That's some historians and archaeologists' date for what happened, the revolt. This is Colchester Archaeological Trust saying it's AD 61. During the Boudiccan Revolt, when British tribes rebelled against the Roman occupation of the southern Britain. And when you think about it, the Fire of London in 1666 was accidentally caused in Pudding Lane. The Roman Colchester was deliberately sacked and burnt down. People's lives being extinguished deliberately in a moment of a flame. And this wasn't, again, this was in London, St. Albans. The evidence of the destruction is easily recognizable. And there we go, context again. So if we go that little black line there, that's the evidence of the destruction that was recognizable across the entire of Colchester. It survives of a dark, burnt, stratified layer below ground. This is called the Boudiccan destruction layer. Now, when you think about it, if historians had never written about Boudica, right, it would not be called the Boudiccan layer. It would be called the Great Destructive Layer across Colchester. When we think about all of this and all of this damage, some of these artifacts are associated with the William and Griffith Store excavations of 2014 in High Street of Colchester, when they paradoxically discovered the Fenwick treasure. And when we say paradoxically, it's a wealth and dearth of archaeology that paradoxically sees carbonization of preserved remains of structures across Colchester. Now, interestingly enough, this bowl is from the William and Griffith Store excavations of the High Street in 2014. This very bowl, it's been burnt. This was originally glossy red. This is Samian ware, but it's no longer glossy red because of the intense temperatures. And the temperature was so intense that this isn't blackened pottery. This is pottery refired, probably of nearly 900 degrees centigrade. The evidence is powerful and poignant of the destruction across Colchester. And again, I've got so much to show you about Colchester. When we think about Colchester, the Romans were so enamored in themselves that they wished to broadcast themselves by building this structure, which is the underground basement of the castle of Colchester today. But this is in fact Roman. This is Roman masonry. Across Colchester, you find the very remains of the last dishes that were being eaten by people that day that Colchester was sacked. And when you look at this, there's the temple in the middle. And guess what? we didn't see the archaeological excavations associated with this that are now on display. So one of the things that they really struggle with looking across Colchester is they find treasure, they find coins, they find jewelry, they find carbonized dates, which we'll show you an image of, a really good image. But oh, and by the way, I'm going to show Will image of carbonized dates, and I want him to put some color into them. That's not fair. One of the things that they haven't really found across Colchester is, in fact, many human remains, and we'll go to this building in a minute. But they are finding one or two sets of human remains, not many. And those sets of human remains that they have found, dating from whether you're saying AD 60 or AD 61, show remarkable violence associated with people that were massacred in the town on those fateful days, associated with the sacking of Colchester under the command of Boudicca herself. And we're going to say that. We're going to say under the command of Boudicca. We don't really completely know it was Boudicca, but the Roman historians tell us, and that's as far as the Roman historian stuff that we're going to go to. Lots of people were massacred in this temple, but unlike Pompeii, the temple was cleared out and reused later on when the Romans managed to restore Colchester to some of its glory by AD 64. Archaeologists are most interested in human remains, as we don't find much in the way of human remains in St. Albans and Londinium associated with this revolt. There have been purportedly some remains found in Londinium, but that's for another lecture associated with the Boudiccan revolt. So the human remains from the Boudiccan revolt in Colchester are really limited. They're from the William and Griffiths store, associated with that very glass that we've actually seen. But one thing that the Colchester Archaeological Trust has actually seen is the excavations of this very triumphal arch. And I had no idea this actually existed when we went to Colchester and we visited the castle. So let's have a little look. Let's have a little bit of a look now. It's known as the Claudius Gallery, right? And there it is. You go in and look at the cobwebs there. It must have been on display when we went to Colchester 5 and a bit years ago. And you can actually go underground, and there's actually, you can see tables and chairs above. You can actually look down, and you can actually see the remains of this triumphal arch. Now, there's a word of warning here, right? There's a word of warning here, right? As much as we know, right? Let's talk a bit about the archaeology. As much as we know that this existed at the time of Claudius. No, start again. Oh, well, actually, that might be actually correct. Claudius was assassinated, but I think it was about AD 54. But the point is, when this was there, this structure was there. When it was sacked, this basement did exist in AD 60, right? AD 61. The word of warning is that the archaeological remains that we've just seen a snippet of underneath this sort of Claudius's outlet, it's a restaurant now. I can't be for sure to tell you that these remains themselves are actually the same remains that were destroyed in AD 60, AD 61. But nevertheless, they're there, right? And they're in a bit of a bad state as well. I'm loving this. I really like finding these really odd things. And I got a little bit of information on this. So I called it a gallery, didn't I? It's called the Claudius Gateway. So basically, if you go to the castle in Colchester and you just wander a little bit further away, just basically on the outside of the castle, the precinct, the gate, the sort of entrance into the park there's something known as a Claudius's Gateway, and in Colchester, and it's amazing. This you've got these nice bits of stonework, and it's an archaeological site featuring the exposed ruins of a massive monumental arcade. So obviously the arcade, if we go back to there, right? So this arcade is the entranceway with this sort of arch, right, going into the precinct of the temple. So when you see the temple, you think the castle as it exists today, it's a big area, right? But the area surrounding it was about 8 times bigger. It was massive, right? So it's the presumption of the Romans, saying that we're here. You can actually see the stonework there, loving it. So the structure, the excavated ruins, are part of Britain's largest known Roman covered walkway. A colossal arcade built after it's saying, did it exist before or did it exist after the Boudicca revolt, to serve the frontal approach to the Temple of Claudius? Now, interestingly enough, there it is. If I got another image, there it is, and that's all I've got. I did think I had other images, but looking at that there, and you're thinking, well, if you ever go to this gallery in Colchester, the viewing experience, the remains were discovered during office block demolitions and are protected below a building. There is historically housed cafes such as the Holy Bagel. You can walk directly over the glass floor to inspect the ancient masonry below your feet. However, if you ask the owner nicely and you say you're an archaeologist and you know Karl-James Langford, he may chase you out with a shotgun, but he may invite you to actually go down underneath to actually touch the ruins, right? You can actually sometimes go down there. I wouldn't have been able to take a group down there because it would have been too many of us. But basically, you can actually see part of one of the buttresses for the arcades. There'll be a buttress here, another buttress, and again, look at that flooring there. Again, some of the flooring, the roadway around this wonderful edifice, the archaeology, that I'd love to see one day. I really would. And there it is. So this exists. We know it. We thought it existed before, but now we know it exists, right? And obviously the temple behind. Now there we go. Lanercost. There we go. Hare Hill, Hadrian's Wall, and Brampton. So Margaret, as ever, you're always right. So there it is. And I do believe we've got, hang on, just see if we've got a few other things to show you, right? So I'm just making sure that I know what, oh, there he is again. There's Will. Do you know what? I want Will to get an old image as well of an antiquarian. And I want him to sort of colour it up to make it look like himself. So I wanted to put this in here. Now, these are absolutely fascinating. So I've got a little bit of a blurb, and I don't know if this is fair, but would it be fair to say if wonderful Will got this and managed to colour this up? But remember, Will, right? I think this is going to be Roman red tile. These are going to be carbonized dates with soil colour roughly red to black. So that's a clue for him. So I just wanted to do this now, and I want to then introduce more about Colchester for next week. So just hold with it, guys. This was written in 2014. This is from British Archaeological Jobs and Resources. Remarkable food remains from Roman Colchester. In 2014, the Colchester Archaeological Trust conducted an excavation within the Williams and Griffith store in the High Street in Colchester. This was a remarkable archaeological site where they uncovered evidence of centuries of occupation, from the pre-AD 60 site, which included a Roman fortress, to work from the iron foundries of the 1800s and the domestic rubbish pits of adjacent houses. So there was an excavate. So this is the point. When I talk about Roman excavations at Williams and Griffiths, I talk about the Roman stuff, but I should actually be talking that there's other stuff there. You know, there's foundries, there's Colchester foundries from the early 1800s. There's rubbish pits of various buildings, but we as archaeologists are obviously obsessed with the Roman stuff here. So the site produced the amazing Fenwick treasure. Can you remember all that we've shown you before, the sort of jewelry and all the rest of it? We can go on that again. It'd be good to see it again. And the site also produced another treasure, a remarkable assemblage of Roman foodstuffs, dates. So these were preserved by carbonization, caused by the extreme temperatures within the town when it was destroyed by fire during the Boudiccan revolt. And it's the date here is AD 60, actually, rather than the other date, AD 61. The assemblages of preserved foodstuffs at the likes of Colchester, I'm going to read off my notes, are probably as big as the stuff that we find in comparison, that we find in Pompeii. So the assemblage is large and it includes a wide range of foodstuffs. These all derive from one room in the Roman house on the site that the Colchester Archaeological Trust thinks was a utility or storeroom, basically associated with the Fenwick treasure. And this had been buried under the floor of the storeroom, hoping to come back for it. And the room contained a wooden shelf with a variety of foodstuffs on it, as well as a range of Roman pottery, vessels, statues of Lloyd George, including amphoras, which probably also contained foodstuffs such as wine, fish, sauce, your basically salgram or garum, and olive oil. Some of the foodstuffs were kept on a wooden platter and in a sackcloth bag on the shelf. So they've worked out all this from the bits of evidence that survived. Basically, everything collapsed and sort of caved into the middle of the room. So the impressive list of Roman period ingredients consists of grains, pulses, legumes, nuts, fruits, herbs, and spices, mostly in quite recognizable forms. Wow. Spelt wheat, gristy grain. I'm not sure what gristy grain is. Emmer wheat, that's an ancient type of wheat. Millet, barley, lentils. A possible broth mix. Peas, beans, hazelnuts, grapes, figs, dates on the stem. There you go. And lovage. Coriander seeds, fennel seeds, white mustard seeds, and fenugreek have all been identified. That would be a perfect kitchen for Anne. That would. That's all she needs to survive, our good Anne. There are also some bones from a pig's head. There you go. And the discovery of dates on the stem is fascinating. The Romans introduced a number of new foodstuffs to Britain, and some of these would have been imported while others were adopted for cultivation here. The dates in Roman Colchester must have been imported from Mediterranean, providing a snapshot regarding trade and provincial lifestyles. Samples are basically they sampled it all. They've done a lot of research on this. The University of Exeter. Microscopic photography of all of this, hoping to find more. And this is actually there's actually there's a recipe book of all this stuff that they've made from the stuff that they've come across in this room. So before that's all from Fenwick. We're going to do this again. So before that, when you think about it, there's more foodstuffs there on the right. A jawbone, yes. As I said, some very rare remains of human remains at Fenwick site for Colchester, more than we've got for any other sites. So when you think about the remains that they've got there, you're thinking, well, you can work out what the dish that they were going to prepare that day. Maybe the pig skull is part of that, a nice bit of brawn. The only brawn that I've ever eaten is I've tasted pig's brawn, monkey's brawn, and that's it, I think. So yeah. So I just nearly come into the end. So if anyone's getting a bit tired, so we're nearly done now. So I just wanted to mention that they've done so much archaeological work in Colchester, right? This is naturally from the Fenwick site, and I was in a bit of a rush today. This stuff is really recent start again. This, when you think about it, all this stuff is really recent. 2014 is quite recent in terms of archaeology, and that's part of the Fenwick treasure there. And look at that there, an archaeologist down there. You've got a burnt layer as well. This is all part of the picture. It's not about that date there. It's not just about treasure. It's about a story within this room. And we'll just read out there. Excavations of Colchester have revealed where a couple stashed their valuables before Boudica sacked the city. When you think about it, that's just one individual story, right? One individual story within one individual room. Did I say David Crummy? I meant Philip Crummy. There it is. Could you imagine they found more rooms like this? It'd be absolutely fascinating. And this again, we're looking at more of these excavations, and they're constantly doing this work in and around Colchester. Now, back to that point I made earlier on about, I said, why are they constantly excavating, and why can't we look at what's in boxes? And then Andy replied and said, well, the A66 project is about to do with stuff that's going to be destroyed if archaeologists don't sort of excavate it. Well, the thing is, right, this is the only excavation work we should be focusing on. We should get everybody in on it, all the volunteers in on the archive, just doing the work, right? And then we can get this stuff properly processed, properly looked at. There's not enough archaeologists involved in doing this work, so that's why we need them in from other areas. This work was on actually the 12th of January, right? And the sun's out in Colchester. How the better live. This is actually not Fenwick. This is this year. And interestingly enough, this is, what I just basically mentioned about, that was just one small room that they've excavated in Colchester, right? Well, look at this map here. Okay, we can understand most of the wall around Colchester. Most of it's standing. I've been to Duncan's Gate with Roger. We've been to the North Gate. We've been to the Balkan Gate. I think we've been to one or two of the others. There's the temple, right? If you notice all these insulas, one, we haven't excavated any of that. We haven't excavated insula 2. We haven't excavated insula 4. Look at all this over here. None of this has been excavated, right? Because this is in the park, I do believe. Yeah, this is in the park, all of this, right? There's so much that have not been excavated. No, that's not in the park. God, I'm getting confused a minute, right? That's the housing estate. This is the park, right? Yeah, that's right. This is all the park here. Got that mixed up, yeah. So this is all the park. That's part of the housing estate. There we go. But all of this, most of this has never been excavated. So you could say that one single room at Fenwick with all that archaeology is probably 0.1% of Colchester excavated. What's been excavated in Colchester is less than between about 5 and 7%. That's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. So much to learn. They're basically saying here, obviously, this is some of the levels of archaeology. Roman wall foundation shown by the area of yellow mortar and stone. And just a quick translation of this. This was a building that was demolished, probably in the Roman period. The stone was taken elsewhere, and they've just left the yellow mortar and stone in position. Again, excavations this year. I do believe this was 12th of January as well. And obviously these layers, yeah. So to see if there's any other, oh, there we go. Obviously that's the last, this is the last one. So what you've got here, you can see here that this is typical Colchester, right? All the red Roman tiles, all the red Roman material for the various layers. So when you think about it, Colchester is one of the longest occupied Roman sites in Britain, right? So going all the way to the period of AD 43, going all the way through to possibly, they're still probably patching stuff up into the 400s, 440s and thereabout. So all those thick layers, you can tell basically there's half a meter of Roman archaeology. Other areas, there's 2 meters. I want to come back to Colchester next week. And that's me done for this evening. I want my little pie that's on my table now, and I may be convinced not to have a pot noodle tonight. I've actually been eating quite well recently, but I said a pot noodle just to wind down up. Right, so let's stop that now, and we're going to go on to we'll go on to Judith, a wanton Fraggle, after we've spoken to Anne.
You want to speak to me? I'm kind of half asleep. Not quite. I'm all right, but that's been very interesting about Colchester. It's yeah, and
go on.
Well, I suppose it's very new to me, and pointing out how little of it's been, it's very old, but how little of it's been excavated, and yet we've known so much about it without some of the excavation being done from the small amount. It would seem you've managed to cover a lot in that.
I've mentioned sometimes in Time Team where they found small fragments, and I've said they built a whole town from those small fragments. Well, we've got a whole room, and it's like, well, obviously, when I talk about a whole room, the archaeology left inside that room is probably maybe I'd be pushing it by saying 5% of the original archaeology in that room, which was burnt down that day, surviving. 5% might be a bit too much, but it might be a bit less than that. But even if it's like 5% of the stuff that was in that room that was preserved, you know, the wooden shelves and then, you know, the artifacts, the dates, you know, the fennel and so on, that's still only 5%. And you think, well, what else was in that room? What was the other 95%? We're fascinated by the 5%. What else was there? Right. And even when we look at Pompeii, only a fraction of Pompeii has survived. And we get so much in from Pompeii. But there's so much that we can learn from so little. And this is why it's so important that we look at our archives and look at stuff that is in museums. Because I'll give you a case in point. Kathleen Kenyon's excavations of Jericho in the 1950s ended up in boxes. I think it was in Sydney University in the basement. And nobody looked at them until I think it was 1976, right? And when they started looking at this stuff, you know, decades after the archaeological excavations, they worked out that Jericho is probably the location where tuberculosis was first detected in the archaeological record.
Wow! Yes.
And that is so amazing. That is so important to all these different disciplines that suddenly TB is suddenly detected, and then you've got leprosy. It's detected because you've got close proximation of people, right? And it's very important that we manage that archaeology is useful to a lot of professions, not just us.
It covers. I mean, you're mentioning medicine there. There's a whole range. We've been on about building and all sorts of things. So it's like, I suppose, an awful lot of archaeology is repetitive because the same thing must come up often. But at the same time, when something different comes up, I mean, if you don't do it, you miss the very different things that, like you say, the first time. You just mentioned a disease. What was it? I've forgotten it again. Easy, my brain's going stupid.
Tuberculosis, yeah.
Tuberculosis, and then you'd miss that, wouldn't you? In the sense, if you don't, there must be an awful lot missing because of what we haven't looked at. But I suppose that's true in almost every discipline. Nobody can know everything, and if people learn it and forget it, and but it's sort of important to know these things because, well, it would be if we could learn from the past. We always say we need to learn, and we never do. We always make the same mistakes again and go to war again or whatever. But nevertheless, it's important to know them.
And the answer is we can look at it. We need to look at those boxes in the museums. That's the point. And there are examples with that. When they excavated Cardiff Castle, the Roman stuff at Cardiff Castle, right? There was this archaeologist called Peter Webster, and the archaeological excavations at Cardiff Castle, they had tens of thousands of bits of Roman Samian ware, right? And Peter Webster, before he retired, did this great pottery archaeological specialist from the university. He decided that he was going to make sure that every single piece of that Samian ware was examined, and he achieved it. But the way he did it was to get volunteers who wanted to do Roman stuff. So instead of an archaeological excavation, he got them excavating the Samian ware. And the point is that all that's repetitive, but it's not, because if you're digging a hole and you come up with 1,000 limpet shells, right? those 1,000 limpet shells tell you that they've obviously been doing something with those limpet shells. A single limpet shell on its own doesn't tell you much, but a box of them tells you everything. Okay, Anne, if there's nothing else from you, Anne, we're going to go on to Judith, a wanton Fraggle.
No, there's nothing from me, thank you. It's interesting you don't have to come a long way, do you? Do you know what I mean? It's
No.
not quite on the doorstep, but it's within these shores. There's lots and lots beneath our feet, and we've no idea, have we?
No, we haven't. And do you know what? I went out to the sheep earlier on and thought, how realistic is for me to do these live shows again? And I just thought, well, there's a few indicators inside me saying that I've got to get out and do something. And yeah, so I'll be thinking about it over the next few days. Right, and yes, what you should do is bring one of your mates along, Judith. That'll be good.
All right, I'll see if anyone will come.
Yeah, that'll do. Right, thank you very much, Judith. Anything from indoors, a total goddess?
I was just thinking, battles and wars, you always get some of the greatest inventions happening.
Oh, yeah.
After a battle or a war. I was just thinking about my husband had a hip replacement and he had to go to a specialist hospital because it was complicated. And it was a hospital near Wigan. And the man who did the operation, he called it the Charnley hip. And apparently this Charnley started doing hip replacements during the First World War because of all the amputations and what have you, and broken limbs. So that the hip replacement came out of the First World War.
Well, that's
and it's still being made today. It's exactly the same. It's the best you can get. But I was just thinking, the Boudica, I mean, we've got the evidence of the burnt layer. The only other thing we've got are the writings of Tacitus and Dio Cassius.
Yeah.
And they talk about the atrocities that were committed, the terrible things that Boudica and her armies perpetrated on the residents of St Albans, Colchester and London. And they talk about, I mean, we don't know if that's true.
My gut is telling me that there's something not quite right. I haven't put my finger on it yet.
Well, they were painting them in as bad a light as they could, but also unusual that they wrote that she was quite victorious and quite brave in a way. But I think maybe they exaggerated about the numbers involved. They talk about between 140 and 300,000 British.
It's impossible.
Were there that many people in the south of England?
Well, it goes back to the obvious, right? It goes back to the obvious. An army only marches on its stomach, right? How are you going to feed 100,000 individuals, right?
Well, and how are you going to weaponize them all?
Well, you can't eat weapons, right? The answer it's just about food, right? It's just about food, and you know, the Roman army had problems feeding its troops, right? And that's an organized back in then a modern army, right, with supply chains, right? Most of these peasants only had enough food to feed themselves for the following year, right? How are the numbers are quite excessive, right?
Well, I remember reading about the Battle of Flodden, which I know is many, many years later.
Yeah.
And they, I think Henry VIII was out of the country at the time. So I think it was Catherine of Aragon had to quickly get an army together. And it just comprised mostly of farmers. And they had to march all the way to the battleground, which could be hundreds of miles, with farming implements. That was all that they had. So I imagine it would have been very similar back then. They would have just had to use whatever was at hand to fight with.
And the Scottish army was wiped out.
And you just think with these huge battles where they talk about thousands and thousands of people being slaughtered, where are the bones? Did people collect them all? Where are they all?
No, but this is what I've been thinking about, right? Basically, the Whalley Brook in London, right? They found a load of darkened, disheveled skulls that rolled out into when they were digging out the culvert for Whalley Brook in London. Basically, these have got to do. They're blackened. These have got to be to do with the Boudiccan rebellion. They've got to be. These are beheaded victims. And now they're starting to think that they might be to do with a burial ground. So we'll go on to that again. I'm not going to give too much of that away. But the point is, what we're doing, we're picking up sort of we're picking up straws, right?
Yeah.
The quick answer is that we've got this big, thick black layer across Colchester, right? We're finding dates. We're finding jewelry, right? We're finding bits of timber, right? We're finding burnt pottery. Oh, we're finding the occasional bones. But where are the rest of them?
Yeah. Where are they?
We won't do any more about that tonight, but that we'll come back to that again. So right. Anyway, if there's nothing else from you, Mrs. Andy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you about not digging, except where obviously where there's going to be destroyed. There's a TV series in that, in the vaults of just, and a dead cheap one, because it's all there, and the people who look after them will know the stuff's there, or they might not even know that. But I'm sure there would be a good TV series in that. Maybe with the lovely Alice Roberts.
Yes. She's very
current. The vaults, yeah.
Or maybe with my lovely Emma Stewart, who's now the director of Cirencester Museum.
Yeah, but there's I think they just need to get a bit of interest in there, and get it. I think from a commercial point of view, there could be possibilities with that one, because, like I said, it's dead cheap programming.
Yeah,
it's all in one location already.
It is dead cheap. It is dead cheap. That is worth thinking about. Obviously, I've still got to get through my dung collectors of Pompeii. But that could even be done really cheaply, right? We could have a really cheap and tacky set, right? And it's all based around a tiny little bit of a street, and we've all got togas and stuff on, right? And yeah, so
Monty Python style.
Oh, it would be great. There'd be arguments over. There'll be. I'm going to spit it out. There'd be arguments over shit in the street, right? That's my dung. That is. It's come from my horse. I own that one, and that's from my son. Right? They'd be great.
Whole new level of toilet humor. Yes.
It would be great. It would be great. And who would play the slightly camp actor in it?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. We'd have to have Will in it. Right, Will, anything you want to say, love? Will.
You're on mute, Will.
Yeah, I know, I unmuted and reclicked it. No, nothing from me. It's been entertaining. I'll have a look at your little photograph, and I'll see if I can produce anything. And who knows what the future will bring. I hope to be here next week. We'll have to see how it goes.
And obviously that Chilean image as well. There you go.
Just while we're talking about color and black and white images, you need to understand that there is a difference between them, and that is that color detracts from the definition of what you're looking at. So that is why a lot of stuff is documented in black and white. So you could look at like that picture of your dates and your tiles, you can see the shapes and all the rest of it. As soon as you start coloring it, it detracts from it and starts talking in a different language to you. So
actually, let's. I know what you are completely correct, right? You are correct. Obviously, the definition of the lines, the outlines, particularly with structures, that's where they're in black and white, right? But yeah, let's try that out next week if he can possibly do that, Andy. I like that one. Yeah,
Eisenstein found it very difficult to work with color. He's a Russian filmmaker, for those who didn't know, but he was an extraordinary filmmaker. But he tried several sections of Ivan the Terrible in color, but wasn't happy with it and stuck to black and white most of his life because he couldn't use it as a language in the same way as he was using images and movement and dynamics and lighting and stuff.
And you've got Bergman's Triumph for the Worlds as well. That was all in black and white, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Seventh Seal, of course.
So yeah. Well, cool. I'm glad we've got that at the end. That's a really interesting thing. So,
and then, of course, you've got the other spectrums as well, which they now use in photogrammetry, which can enhance information, and you can learn a lot from it.
Yep, exactly. And it's very odd that you get this original film footage from the First World War that's coloured.
Oh, in colour.
Yeah,
there's a lot of those that World War One and Two in colour.
Yeah,
amazing. Can you see Sir Mortimer Wheeler in colour at Hadrian's Wall?
Yes,
I've seen him in black and white.
Yeah,
it does make it easier to relate to them in modern times.
Yeah.
But,
that was my point.
I absolutely agree with that. Yeah.
That was my point.
But I was just standing up for black and white a little bit.
Hang on a minute. I want to do a film in black and white to do with something.
I love black and white.
Yeah, exactly. We like a bit of black and white. We like a bit of black.
I did a film in black and white. I was the assistant cameraman, but I also there was one section where I hand colored in individual frames in just a little bit of the lady was wearing some clothing and they wanted parts of it in red. Just so like a bit like Schindler's List. Where, but it was long before that. First. And it worked really well. It was kind of animated. It worked quite nice. So,
God,
that was so clever. That wasn't it?
I thought it was overdone. Sadly, I don't think he needed to do it. But I would.
What you mean, the red coat that you followed her around?
Yeah, because I think she was walking. Because she was walking the opposite way to everybody else, you'd have noticed her anyway. But you wouldn't have seen her, I don't think, on the cart later on when she was dead.
Quite clever.
But yeah,
horrible, but
beautiful film. Done. Really beautiful film.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Schindler's List with this girl that was just going to split up from me, and it was just like I remember being in the cinema, we were holding each other's hand, and I squeezed her hand really tight at one scene. I tell you what, that was a really that's the type of stuff that I like to do.
Did you know Spielberg actually graduated from film school with that film?
Did he?
Yeah, he left and never finished his degree and made all these wonderful other films, and then used that as his graduation. I only found that out the other day. I thought, oh bloody hell, that's a pretty impressive graduation film. Yeah,
I don't think he won many Oscars, did he?
No, he didn't.
Really?
No.
Well, he's still out there.
Yeah. Did you ever see The Boy in the Striped Pajamas?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that was heartbreaking, wasn't it?
That's kind of based on a true story as well, isn't
it? And
the pianist. The pianist is really
the pianist's lovely. Yes.
Yeah. And that was actually based on a true story where the pianist did, or the German soldier did visit the pianist after, or the other way around, or so. Yeah, that was really...
Well, we don't want those times back again.
But there is a harrowing film made in Belarus in 1984. It's about this young boy and about the about a German death squad, and they've used all these people from the villages, and their acting is so brilliant, right? I can't remember the name of it, but it's just.
I'd like to know what that is. If you could text me it or email me when
you
you
know what
find
I'm going to do? I'm going to find it now.
Okay, thanks. 'Cause I love films like that.
It tell you what, it's so deep that hang on, Belarus.
There's another director, a Russian one called Andrei Tarkovsky, who does wonderful films as well. Did do.
Second, but it's so unbelievable. Did I ever tell you about the time that I went to I've got the name of it now. I'll tell you in a moment. I went to in Abergavenny one day in the food festival. We used to go every year, right? And there was this stall holder with a tent, and these clothes inside this tent were basically all this really thick, fabricy type stuff, and all of this stuff looked like it was from the 1930s. And I was going to buy some of this stuff, and it was likely to be basically they still had lots of these store buildings in places like Lithuania, Latvia, and wherever, right? Full of these clothes that were taken off of people who went to the concentration camps. And it was very likely that these clothes that this person was trying to sell, right, were actually those taken off people from the camps. I wish I'd brought one of them now, but they were just too. They were felted, sort of really. I tell you what, if they were fakes, right, it's more expensive to make a fake, right, of something like that. These things look the real deal, right? And they admitted they were from. I think they must have said they were from Latvia or somewhere like that. But my God, and that links in with this film, and this is so unbelievably powerful. It's so good. It's called Come and See, COME, Come and See, from 1985. It's widely considered one of the most powerful and harrowing anti-war films ever made. But I would say it's widely considered one of the most powerful war films ever made, right? It's an anti-war film, but the costumes in it, the acting, it's unbelievable. And basically, it's directed by L.M. Klimov, and it's basically real experiences of a Belarusian village. I'm not saying anymore. And in the end, the revenge. You've got to look at every single second of this film. It is cinematic on another level, but it's and I think you can get it on YouTube.
Thank you.
If you've got any time, Andy, let me know what you think.
Dig it out. Yeah.
Right. Has anyone else got anything else to say?
Loads and loads, but I won't.
Okay. And don't forget your membership things if anyone's got to do it. And it's
how much is it, Carl?
360 quid for you. And that's everybody paid for the year. It's 36 shekels.
£36. And is that due now?
This minute, this second, now. If you don't pay it, I'm sending Will over there with the posse.
Did you say £32?
36.
No, you can pay 32, but
try
Margaret can pay 4.
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing very well.
36.
36.
It's 36.
I can sell a few things. I think I should manage.
It's £36, guys, for the whole year.
Yeah, I'll just have to sell some things, and then I'll just and so manage, I think.
I'm not putting pressure on you. It's not that bad.
I can take in washing.
Oh yeah, you said the last word. I've always thought you're a washerwoman. That I could have referred to you with the S word, right?
Oh,
But I
right.
won't.
No, don't do that.
It ends with an R.
Oh, does it?
A scrubber. Oh,
Oh, that's terrible.
I didn't call you a scrubber.
You just did.
I didn't. I didn't call you a scrubber. No, I didn't. Wait, no.
Don't worry. I'll manage, Carl. Don't worry.
I called you a
I'll be all
washerwoman, not a
right.
scrubber.
I'll be okay. I'll get
right,
by.
Yeah. If you haven't got your light on next week, we know what's happened. You're in the dark.
That's it.
I better be in the dark with her. Yeah. Right. Anyone else got anything else to say before we finish?
No, thanks.
Okay, then. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure as ever. And I will no doubt see you all next Tuesday. And hopefully Drina will be back as well. So there'll be a full doodah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Carl.
Good night,
My
all.
pleasure.
Good night, all. Good night, Will.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Will and the people. Night night, folks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Night night, Andy. Night night, Anne. Sorry, it's been a long one tonight, Anne, but yeah, everyone wanted to talk. That's everybody. Yeah, maybe that's all good. I could deal with a few sheep. I'm gonna have something to eat after this. So thank you very much for watching tonight. It's been really good. And it makes me wonder when I do this that I've still got a group of people that really like my classes. And against what anyone says. Take care. Nos da chi. Diolch yn fawr i chi. Gwelwch chi eto. And wouldn't it be great to be living in Orkney? It really would, away from this horrible country called Cymru Wales. Anyway, nos da chi. Gwelwch chi eto. And that's said as somebody who's born and bred here. Siarad Cymraeg. Diolch yn fawr i chi. Gwelwch chi eto. Nos da. Night night.